Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Zwift Community Live broadcast of the Zwift Racing League presented by WTRL. We're into season number 2, race number 1 out on Richmond Reverse. Arguably one of the hardest starts in the world of Zwift racing. The races are actually already out on course. We got a couple of minutes late in there that already things are battling. So I want to jump right into it, Dave. But I am really excited, Dave. You guys had a blast yesterday on Zwift Live. Now we're in the community watching people battle it out at every category level.
You're exactly right, Nathan. This course really brings it at you quickly here. It's that 1-2 punch that you get from 23rd and Libby, but coming in reverse. Nathan, you have ridden around in Richmond more than anyone I know, to be honest. But I would think 98% of the time you've probably used that UCI Worlds course from 2015 going the regular forward direction. Reverse is different. Let's talk about the course. Let's talk about the excitement around Season 2. I am so stoked. Everyone at WTRL, that's our man Martin. Man, they have worked so hard. Little refinement. I guess we do have some details to talk about, don't we? Some subtle changes to the league. Nothing too dramatic. It's still points-based. It's still a team competition. But, I'll throw it back to you, Nathan. A lot of excitement, but this course is a really, really tough way to start things off as far as, well, for the riders, we're jumping right into it.
Yeah, let's go ahead and jump right into it. We will talk about the course, but the best way to talk about the course is to show you exactly what's happening with it as we get in immediately with the men's EMEA East. And right off the bat, Wahoo Lacole was on the attack with Tim Fulford. Cryogen is now on the attack as well. And just so everybody knows, so on this course, we'll go ahead and show you a quick little graphic here that's going to give you some help about what is happening here. We're into the second climb. So it's UCI Reverse. 2 laps is what they're going to be up to. Immediately, right from the gun, over the top of the first, Cryo was on the attack. Then we saw Wahoo Lacole come on through. Cryogen with Wales here now coming through. This is a rider that's really interesting and on my radar because I recently raced against this rider in the KISS 200-kilometer race 2 weekends ago. This guy was a monster in that race. I think he's got a whole lot of fitness coming at you. But we just went over the top of that 23rd Street reverse climb. And then Libby Hill just over the top of that. Now they're going to come down into that industrial park in that first 8.1 kilometer section there. A little bump in between. And then they'll climb Broad Street. Broad Street's actually the longest climb on the day where you can really put some hurt in if anybody's in any trouble. But I think the reality of how steep those first 2 kicks and how they're in succession of each other is what really makes the start difficult, Dave.
Yeah, agreed. It's the severity, isn't it, of those 2. These are some of the most well-known climbs on Zwift. They're short and they're severe and they're where you make a difference, no doubt about it. Boy, these guys come into the start, Nathan, like a bull in a china shop out here today. But you can see things settling in just a little bit after a super aggressive start. I mean, you got to tip your cap to Ellis, Baker, Eddie Oiley's back, another one of the cryo riders to watch. This is such a competitive group here as we're in with the Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Always deliver just an absolute Donnybrook. And now, Nathan, you want to talk about a grind. From that point, once you come down off of Libby, it's so weird to say that. It's counterintuitive to the brain after so many times of going up Libby. But once you come down off of the cobbles of Libby, and then you start your way back to what will be the finish line here, and sprint points available. And we should talk about that. The sprint points go deeper now, don't they, Nathan? That's one of the changes that a lot of people were asking for, was giving more opportunities for riders to score. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I've got a scoring 10 deep, 10 points down to 1 point, and multiple times out here, and a new timed segment that we're looking forward to.
Yeah, it's really cool what WTRL has done with that. It's given a little bit more opportunity to grab points for everybody on the team, making everybody able to participate a little bit more. This is a team competition, so they really wanted to make everybody's effort available to make a difference. And then also one of the other cool things is that they've added in 2 timed segments. So 23rd Street, and then I believe it's going to be the first sprint up and over on the flatter sections on Monument. So that is something that's kind of cool where, maybe you can't be with the lead group, make the lead group, but if you get in with a pack, roll in with an arrow power up, and then take down the fastest time through the section, that also will award points. Now, those are not two competitions that are head to head with each other. It's still the first across the line is going to get 1 through 10 between first, second, third, all the way down to 10th place for points. And then also the fastest segments are going to get some points as well for the team. So very cool way that you can still participate in your team's overall standings in the community league. Yep, 2 laps. We're out here for 2 laps. We do see chat. We are live over on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, as well as Twitter/Periscope. Go ahead and make some comments. If you can tweet at us at Z Community Live, we do see that come through as well. And we'll go ahead and try and interact with the chat as much as we possibly can with any kind of pertinent information, or as well as shout outs to some of the teams that may be out there. We are heading into that Governor Street climb, though, for the first time. And this is where I think after those first 2 climbs, this is the next section out on course that we need to be watching out for.
Agreed. This is definitely one of the pinch points. Nathan, going back to what you were talking about, collaboration is going to be the name of the game, isn't it? When you look at those timed segments, it's going to be fun to see how riders are going to get organized and try to figure that out. They always do. There's some real smart athletes that we've got in the mix here. Yeah, they're going to start pressing here now, Nathan, as you watch the front of this group. It'll be interesting to see at what point, because yesterday I was surprised the size of the men's field that went to the line, and there's Ed Laverick right in the middle of the field, always a rider to watch. Expect to hear a little bit more from him, I would say, in about half an hour or so, as we'll chart this storyline. It's going to be, this is one of these courses that if you're on a good day, you bring some real form into this race, man, have you got a lot to work with here. It's really a racer's dream course, I would say. Well, for a certain type of racer, that's for sure. As you see Harry Mustard rolling through now, staying right in the sweet spot of this group. And that's a big part of it out here on a day like today with 2 laps for 32.4K, Nathan, is keeping that powder dry, as we say, just not burning any calories that you don't need to, being miserly with your efforts out there, just always making sure you make the split, stay in that front group. And that wasn't the big challenge out there. What was the challenge was it's chaos in the finale on a course like this with so many riders. It's impossible, or it looked impossible to me, Nathan, for any team. And we had some strong units out there. No one was able to organize any kind of a lead out.
Looking at Matthew Ellis here right now for Wahoo Lacole, pro jersey in game. Under 20 I'm seeing, so it must be a junior or U23 professional rider from what I'm seeing. I am seeing that this rider, 63 kilograms at a 354 watt FTP. Laverick and Ellis together, I mean, we're talking, this is some serious firepower when it comes to climbing. I have a feeling that they're going to want to push the pressure on over little climbs like this or on the climbs to really try and break things apart, because they do not want to come. This is the opposite of the kind of sprint finish that the Wahoo Lacole the strength that they have is going to be about the climbs and an FTP, really, when it comes down to it. We do see the sprints coming on through here, and this may be an opportune time. If Laverick can hold on here and then come over the top. We did see this morning in the APAC race, and across the line it is going to be Offerman's, it looks like, taking on top points. Ellis actually, I think, coming through for 3rd perhaps. We'll have to take a look and see what points actually were. But we did see this as an opportune time. Sam Lindsay coming out of New Zealand attacked over the top through this section, got a solid 15-second gap almost. I believe it was like between 10 and 50 seconds. One of the riders coming out of the Netherlands came across. They had a really good gap for a while, almost made it work. Maybe in the EMEA East might be a little bit more difficult, very big depth of field, but maybe on lap 2, we'll have to wait and see if they can break things apart a little bit more on those climbs over 23rd and Libby. May be able to see a difference. But now over the top, we're seeing Hanny, and this is what I'm talking about. This section could put some hurt on because of the top, the kind of power and fatigue that may be in the leg after that speed. But it may be more of a damage done at the back end of inattention rather than completely getting away with the serious breakaway.
Stringing it out, though, Nathan, no doubt. These are the kind of efforts that really do make the race as we come up on just about a third of the way in here. But yeah, Hanny, the Canyon development team, is certainly going to be looking to have, this is one of the squads that you put a lot of focus on, as they're always a part, always in the mix, as we say. But you can see coming out of over the top now, I love seeing all of these flags. I don't know that we have any of our divisions, Nathan, that you see more of an international mix than you do from this Europe, Middle East, and Africa group? Is Devecki now the French rider taking over on the front?
There's a great point about the Canyon Dev team and what they've been able to accomplish, and how we've seen them take athletes from their dev team and put them into the elites as well. We've seen them, Canyon. I want to give a shout out to how much depth that they've created in the community with their team and how much organization around it. They have their coalition, they've got their development, they've got their elite team. There's a lot of opportunity actually that they're providing in the esports team. So a big shout out to Reese Hall and all that he's been doing and the belief that he's had in this sport, in this genre of cycling from a very early stage. So very cool of what they've done and how it's supporting athletes to come up in in the ranks, finding that kind of support. It's been something that's been difficult in the world of cycling for a long, long time. And Reese seeing that opportunity, Canyon, and really getting behind it and putting a little bit of, resource where your mouth might be kind of a thing of, oh, we really support cycling. Well, this is how you do it. You put some muscle behind it too.
Couldn't agree more. And you hear, so Reese has set a standard or built a template that I would love to see replicated more. And solid leadership, consistency. I guess for lack of a better term, just a good guy. So Reese, keep it up out there. Seriously, we need more teams like Canyon Development for sure. So they've got Lucas Byam up there today as well. It's quite an interesting group of names, but it's the usual suspects when you look at it. Devecki, Pinto, Laverick, Oile. These are names that we talked about a lot last year. Cryogen looks like they brought their A game. That's for sure. Frederick Gombert and George Hunter have been up there. And obviously the Scottish rider, Harry Mustard. This is a course that might suit Harry well today, Nathan.
Just seeing a couple of, he's got a sprint on him. Harry does, that's for sure. I'll be watching out for him.
If he's there,
he's got
I would
a solid
expect
sprint. And he's a cagey rider. He's a smart rider. He knows what he's doing. Real quick question coming on through from chat. I do see that. Lenny's wondering how many KMs. It's about 32.3, I believe it is. Now we do have a little bit of a kick, but there is the course profile as well for that question. Appreciate the question in the chat. BZR, SBSD, they have been on the hunt for these points, and we do see it's going to be Sagers coming on through. Can Wales make it happen? It doesn't look like it, but look at this coming from his teammate. It's going to be Offermans, but no! Hunter from Cryogen, 15 watts per kilogram. Here it is, 1,100 watts. Cryogen putting the coolers on everybody else. They're going to have to wait a few hundred years for some points. It looks like exactly what Cryo's up to. Nice kick there coming from the Cryogen boys. And there's Mustard off the front with one of his teammates. Is this an opportune time? Because these cobbles, they do slow things down just a tad. We'll see if they can make something happen here. Look at the gap. There's something happening. And now look at it going across. Kugels, danger. That's what I'd have red alert going on in my mind right now if I was not involved.
Yeah, this is quite a moment that we're looking at here.
They got to commit, though,
hands
Dave.
On deck.
They got to commit. It doesn't look like they're committing, though. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I don't blame them, Nathan, to tell you the truth. We've got a long way to go. There's so much horsepower back in that group. Discretion is the better part of valor. It's always exciting, though, when you're on the cusp of that, isn't it? That was close.
It was very close, very close. We do have a question coming on through, and I appreciate the question. Ulrich Ostergaard. In this question, we're going to bring this up because it relates to some of the streaming changes that are going to be happening in this second season. We will be releasing later this week a full schedule on the on our YouTube. All of our broadcasts will be scheduled out with what races will be covered for each division as well as what category focuses. Be on the lookout for that. We are going to be going a little bit more spread out until we get into the last two knockout rounds. Once we get back into the knockout rounds, we'll be going back up into the top divisions. But as we go throughout the season, be on to watch out for that this week, as we do want to spread coverage out a little bit more. But as all of the races are going on around exactly the same time, there are only so many cameras to cover. But there's also the option in the world of streaming for you to go check out maybe somebody's personal stream of their racer perspective. We always like to show support to those that are out there on Twitch, giving their live cameras and action of what their race experience is like. Make sure to head on over to Twitch, search Zwift in the game category search, and you can find usually up to hundreds of people, especially during this time of day, during the Zwift Racing League, giving their perspective of it. And sometimes we do kind of a Twitch rivals type situation where we'll bring that in as well into the broadcast to see how things are going. So another way to find some coverage as well of those.
That's some of the best content out there, is watching people's Twitch sites. Nathan, the rider that you're with here, Leonard Tugels, his watts per kilo up to this point, 5.8. Far higher than any other riders riding on the front of this group. As a matter of fact, far higher than any other rider. I mean, there's some under 5, like looking at the Swedish rider Daniel Pinto of the World Elite Zwifter squad. So that's quite a range there. 1 watt per kilo difference between two riders, and that speaks to the efficiency and game playing element of this sport that is e-racing. And looking at the group now, it's getting a little ragged, isn't it? These small gaps are a little more problem if you're actually making the watts out there. That's no fun at all when you see right now the peloton looks like a boa constrictor swallowing a basketball, doesn't it? Just working a big blob through the middle because it's starting to get sharp up on the front here.
Yeah, and it's come down a little bit at this point here, Dave. But as we do see the power up being used there. And the reason that being is that they want to grab something new, most likely through this next section. They're going to want looking for that arrow for the final sprint, because really an arrow is going to win it. Now, there is some changes to the power-ups, isn't there, today, Dave?
Tell me about it, please.
Yeah, so there are some
Are we
changes
using the same three as yesterday?
Yeah, same three as yesterday. Yeah, so it's a 33%, 33% chance across the board for each one of those power-ups, actually. So I think 34, 33, 33. Right, yeah, and so it's going to be truck for the drafting. It's going to be the arrow, and it's going to be the feather. Each one equal chance. Well, a 1% difference, actually, I think it is for maybe the truck. But the reality is each one of them almost completely equal chance in order to grab them between them for each across the line. So changing things up so you don't get useless power-ups on the day, which I absolutely love that change personally as a racer.
So draft gives you that 50% better draft for 30 seconds. So increasing that. The arrow power up is your coefficient of drag, which is 25% less, but that's 15 seconds. And then the feather power up, which is well known out there, that's 10% off your weight for 15 seconds. So that's the three that you can get, and that's what they do for you. And obviously, they come into play in a major way. It's the difference maker, to tell you the truth, between the win and fifth place out there.
Yeah, 100%. It really is. Now the question I think here coming into these next climbs, we're about to see the fireworks go off again. High speeds into the downhills. One thing I do want to talk about is the reality of the way you slingshot into these climbs can make the difference of whether or not you make the break or you are off the back. It can also make a huge difference about how you conserve energy. I think a lot of times people, they don't realize how much the speed physics really do matter going into the climbs. Watch people who know what they're doing especially you can see it so well on the back end of that 23rd Street climb. And when they go into the Libby Hill, that when it gets into that 20% kick, the kind of speed that comes through that downhill into the flat and then is carried up. If you're on the front and you don't use the pack to carry speed through, you can see it in the riders who go first. They almost hit sludge compared to the riders who are behind. Launching from the middle of the pack with the speed off of that back into 23rd can launch pad you seconds, 5 seconds, even 10 seconds gaps really quickly. We'll see who's done their homework on this. And, I was racing this course actually in the KISS 100 a few weeks back. And over again, people dropped like flies because they thought leading into the climb was the way to go. Got to be careful with that, especially with these intense downhills on Zwift.
It's riding the wave, isn't it? like almost like think surfing there. You don't want to. If you think about being on the shore, right, you either want to be on the beach or you want to be out past the breakers. You don't want to be getting hammered right in the middle where the waves keep breaking. And that's what it's like when you're on the front of the group. That's a great point here, Nathan. And again, large group still together, but you get the feeling this next couple minutes, things might change out here. A lot of riders putting it up into the red. Here we go, full throttle now. Welcome to downtown Payne City. We're no longer in Richmond, Virginia.
Good to see Fusion ECT on the attack here. A team that is
so KOM.
Woo, 202 beats per minute coming from Locke. That is insane. Wow. And he grabbed some points, 10 points for Fusion ECT,
Dennis
9
Locke.
points per second. That is a huge result, actually, for them.
Yeah, look at this now. So that's the damage that's done. Look at the gaps that have opened up behind them, and now they're going to head up to Libby here. This is the 1-2 punch that we've been talking about, and here we go again. This is going to be an absolute wattage throwdown here. Points are scored 10 deep. Again,
see the French rider? Did you see what happened with the French rider there, Dave? Sorry to interrupt you, but did you see how he slingshotted forward? Now look at this. Aquino here with the patience. It's about that slingshot, comes flying through at that 10 watts per kilogram, reserving a little bit, and this is how you break things apart. You ride the roller coaster, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is what they're doing. And now it turns into a grind to the line here. You see things have completely strung out behind them. Little gaps are getting closed down. Now here's the push. That's where they'll be in just a moment, heading down the cobbles of Libby.
Davici now, it looks like, not going to be able to hold on. This is a fight for points to the line here. Who's going to take it? It looks like it's going to be BZR again trying, but no. Ellis has got a little bit left in the tank. 8 watts per kilogram. Can he hold on? It's Davici trying to come through. It's right to the line, but Ellis holds on for Wahoo Lacole. Davici comes through rolling. He's going to use his drafting power up in order to try and find that feather or arrow for the final kicks to the line. It's really splitting up. Will they be able to commit? It's a sharp downhill here, Dave, though. Very difficult because of that, because of the snowball effect from behind. There may be a couple of riders who are suffering behind here that might be able to get dropped off. We'll have to wait and see. It does look like it's been whittled down a little bit more, though, into this second lap.
Yeah, they're going to let up. It looks like a little bit, if you'd call that letting up, but this will regroup, but not quite as many riders are going to survive that last absolute barrage. Looks like we've done some real separating of the group. Only the strong have survived.
Dave, one of your favorite riders here, Eddie, off the back. Laverick, Wolf, Ben Wolf, CCNS. Obviously, the pace insane here.
Boy, positioning was critical, wasn't it, Nathan? When you look at it, you're absolutely right. Now, this is the kind of group, if they want to really work, they can rejoin. Although, yeah, it might be a little bit much right now. We're pretty late into this race. Again, 34 and some change, 32.4 kilometers of racing. So they're really quickly coming up on 10K to go. It's going to be almost entirely uphill, but not severe grades. They've been through that now. Now it's just the grind to the finish line. It's a strongman's race from here on in.
I want to give a little shout out to somebody who's in chat here who is doing something really, really amazing. It does look like Ben Wolf is on the push here to try and bring this back. They're slowing down a little bit. It's only 14 seconds. The opportunity on Governor may be there. We'll have to wait and see, though. That climb's going to be very difficult. If they don't do it now, the climb is probably going to have some attacks. But I want to give a shout out here to the Zwift Race Place. This is a kid who is doing something pretty awesome over on YouTube. If you haven't checked out the Zwift Race Place, head on over there. 5 years ago, I turned the camera on and just started casting. And now we're here today, World Championships. The birth of Zwift racing and esports coming out of this. And this kid, it reminds me of just turning on the camera and making it happen. And he's better than I was when I first started. That's for sure. So I wanna give a shout out to Zwift Race Place. Great job in what you're doing. Awesome content. Keep it up. I absolutely love it, Zwift Race Place. Very, very great job out there. on putting some coverage out into the community. So go check those out. He's over at the YouTube right now making comments in the chat. Go hit that subscribe button over there because I absolutely love to see new talent coming up in the community, especially younger talent looking to make something out of that gift, which the kids obviously got a gift, especially with what he's doing and running over there. So, all right, here we go though. Back in the governor.
That's huge praise. Coming from you, that got to feel great. Nice job, my man. So, all right, this is the group. Your winner is on screen right now, Nathan. Who's it going to be? Really hard to pick.
Is there a break?
Little group. There is. Looks like we got one rider, or is it two?
Tugels.
One rider. Oh, man. Leonard Tugels here, the Belgian rider on BZR.
He's averaged 5.6, 356 watts. Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
He might be a decoy, to tell you the truth here. Certainly, he's putting pressure on the chase. Let's see how his teammates are able to operate off of this, because this isn't a big ask. It's a monumental ask at this point now, as we're looking at around 8K to go. But there is a lot of hungry wolves right behind Leonard right now. But more power to him for making this effort. You can see the grade sitting at 2% up to 3% right now. As a grind is a perfect way to put it here as you make your way up to the finish line on Broad Street.
7 seconds. They're letting this go. I've seen Tugels do this before in Zwift races. I've seen them let him sneak away. And, if he gets one rider with him, especially 7 seconds on this climb, if they don't close this down, it's going to go out even more, I think, over the top. I think he can pull something like this 6 to 7 watts per kilogram over the top of this, then hold a steady 5.5 to 6.5 all the way to the line. Still some danger. Now, the question is, does he get enough distance, though?
A heart rate not out of control right now. He's certainly pushing up into that red zone here, but not the purple zone. So this is not a man who's out of control. He's not a maniac. He's got a plan here. I got to give
his legs might be his maniac. His head's all clear. The legs are full beast mode at this point, though. 7.4, 180. The question I think, Dave, is the sprint section. How much does it come back during the sprint section? I think Cryo's starting to get worried. You see that 7.5 from Hurd?
Yeah, I hear you. Look at it this way. He at least picks up 10 points there, right? If he can hold on to that sprint, which I think he does.
Yeah, and that's really great for BZR. And BZR has been very involved in the sprints, actually. So it might be a big pickup for them. Similar to what we saw with Heino yesterday in the women's races, just kind of able to dominate across the board when it came to the sprints and the KOMs. And then at that point, get across the line, even with a few riders in the top 10. So I think be on the watch out for BZR, as I think they're really going to be the ones to watch out for here. As Tugel's crests, we'll be able to see just in a moment, maybe the riders. There they are.
Great shot, Nathan.
There they are.
Yeah. You got to give our producer a raise. He or she is doing an amazing job. Look at this now. That's the Peloton chasing here. I have never seen us use these shots
Let's
before.
just give that guy whatever he wants. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, really impressive person. No, this is awesome, Nathan. Here we go. The finale, folks. This is going to be really when you look at it, you've got the Belgian rider, Leonard Tugels now. His advantage has gone up to 14 seconds here. Nathan, you were right. Last time we checked, it was 7, 8 seconds. You anticipated it would balloon. It has. At what point do they lock it down? It looks like maybe around now. It doesn't go any further than 15, but he will pick up points.
Yeah, he got the points there. Now the question is, will this sprint shut things down a little bit? Looking back here, here's Hansen off the front just a tad. No, I think he was able to grab it there. Using arrow power-ups. Ooh. Yeah, that's I guess it's worth it here.
Folks. Yeah, the Belgians are in full effect right now. As here we go, the charge to the line is on. It's going to be, not many men were able to hang on in this front group here, and it just got real as they're looking at about 6.5K. This is amazing. This really is. It's only 12 seconds now, so they're starting to slowly reel him in. But, Nathan, have they left it late? Because you're right. It doesn't even look like he's in the same postal code.
Look at the power. Look at this power, though. This is doable at this
very
power.
Realistic. Yeah, this is a realistic shot at holding on. We haven't seen a rider with this kind of a chance to win from a solo breakaway for a long, long time. Buckle up, Buttercups. Here we go. This is going to be a brutal run to the finish. If Leonard Tugels can hold on and win this one, he gets hero status today. This is the Zwift Racing League at its very best. Race 1 here, Richmond Reverse, a very challenging course. They say it's for the punchers. Well, this man is the Muhammad Ali of cyclists right now. Leonard Tugels, we're pulling for you, man.
Yeah, and he actually, I raced against him also in the KISS 200 kilometer race. He won off the front with Gavin Dempster with an average of 4.2 watts per kilogram for the duration of 200 kilometers. Okay. We raced for 4 hours and 38 minutes, and him and Gavin Dempster went with like a lap or two to go, and we just couldn't shut it down. Him and Dempster just walked away from us. I mean, absolutely amazing. We ended up finishing almost 40 seconds behind, actually. 23, 25 seconds behind them as we tried shutting things down. But this is a guy who can do it. He did it in a 200 kilometer. Can he pull it off here with these last 3 or 4 to go?
I mean, this is the classic wattage cottage, Nathan. The numbers are massive. The gap remains at 15. He actually is adding a little bit. They're fanned out across the road. So if they're going to make this catch, they're going to leave it for very, very late. This one will go down to the line, no doubt about it. So looking at the chase right now, they're playing a game of cat and mouse. I think they might have blown it. This is going to be interesting. Again, remembering so much can happen in the final 5K of these races, and that's where we're at right here, right now. So if you want to take a reference point here, we're actually adding to that advantage, Nathan. I'm seeing 16, 17, 18 seconds even at times. That split coming in from, now that's going to be Pinto. For the World Elite Zwifters that we're seeing, they're coming to the fore here.
Seconds. It's 30 seconds. And he continues on. And look, did you see when we went back to that main group how BZR was controlling the front? They were controlling the front. That spread across is because they went to the front and slowed down with multiple riders. They keep on just saying, no, we'll come to the front and just slow it down. And I think Cryo, WEZ, who's going to do anything about this? VCRT, are they even interested? I think at this point they've said that 30 points is gone. 40 points.
Yeah, I mean, unless 40 points, right? We should talk about that table. 40 points for the winner, 35 for second, 30 for third, and then it really drops off. But getting on the podium is a big difference. He's going to do it, Nathan. He is not fading at all. This is a nuclear-powered Belgian that we're looking at right now with Leonard Tugels. The advantage has gone over 30 seconds. It's 34 seconds right now. Not only are they not bringing him back, he is riding off into the sunset right now. This will go down as far as individual performance, is the greatest ride that I've seen in the history of the ZRL. And Nathan, his teammates look like they're ready to back this up and make this into a command performance for the BZR squad here today. Let's see, because it takes more than one man or one woman to make your mark in the ZRL. So you expect to see them starting to pick the pace up back here with this chase group, but they're still sitting 30 seconds back. I don't think they're going to make the catch, Nathan.
The only option here is a continuation of like over the top. We see Bertelstein and Silverstein now, but the interest to whether or not these riders are going to just continue to surge like this over and over again. We'll see Tugels in just a moment on the other side of the street, I believe. And there's Tugels. There he is. They can see him round the corner, 25 seconds up. But will they have the impetus, the desire? I think it's there for the win, but is it there enough that they're going to even care? Wales goes, nope, okay, I'm done. No more playing games. Cryo says we got to make the chase. 6.9 watts per kilogram coming from Matty Wales. Cryo RDT again, putting the coolers on the rest of the pack, but he needs the rest of the pack, though. At this point, not sure he's going to get across, and they'll chase him right down. Now, if they start chasing down Wales, that could shut down Tugel still. There is still a reality that if Wales instigates people to come out of this pack, start pushing the pace, it could put Tugels in trouble. We'll have to wait and see what happens here, how much desire there is. Is Wales going to be a threat? I'm not sure they even care.
I don't
Kerwin
know that
says
they've
enough.
got enough. I don't know that there's enough course to race to get that chase done. They've run out of space out here. Tugel's putting on a clinic. And so anytime someone tells you that you can't win a race in a solo breakaway, let's remember this moment right here. So the BZR SPSD red team, Nathan, they've got some riders that are waiting in the wings right now as well. Joe Pirot. I mean, there's a lot of Belgian flags up near the front of this race. Conde van Gate as well. Oppermans, they have riders who are ready to gobble up points today. I'll be surprised if BZR isn't our top team coming out of week one. It's going to take a major turn of events out here to change that. You're looking at a man who is now only about 1.5 kilometers from putting paid to a stellar performance today.
Yeah, Tugel's here. I think in BZR, they've shown up to win, and it's a whole new level. They've taken out a ton of sprints. They still got plenty of riders to take down something in the top 30 in order to grab points. This is a huge effort here from BZR, and they're the ones to watch out for in the EMEA East Division 1. If they are not the top squad on the day, I'd be super surprised here. Priority T, I think they're the other ones though, but Patty Wales here, not going to be able to hold on here, and this isn't really putting any pain on any of the rest of the group. I know it's a valiant effort here, but it may be a little bit of falling on your own sword here, because I think the reality is that the rest of the pack is just going to roll their way right on up without a whole lot of effort.
Yeah, well, they realize now, Nathan, that they're racing for second on down, and that's Wales just dangling off the front of this group. So they're going to reset their expectations out here, as there's no doubt that Lennart Tugels, the Belgian rider, is going to be able to post up. And there we go, picking up the man of the hour, no question, as we kick off our community 10 weeks of racing we're so excited for. And this is exactly why anything can happen on any given day out here. This certainly, though, would upset the apple cart as far as most people expecting to see a sprint, a reduced group. We talked about this course being super challenging out here on the 2015 Richmond Worlds course being done in and this long, steady grind to the finish is almost over. Nathan, what a way to start the season. Lennart Tugels, the king of Belgium here, going to be posting up a massive performance. Yeah, just another level that we witnessed out here. I'm not going to forget this one.
Yeah, and now we're going to go ahead and watch this finish, and then we'll see a sprint between the rest for second on down, which is still a lot of points up for grabs. Aquino now jumping very early, as you can see. We'll see Tugels cross the line here, but with only with like 500 meters to go, maybe even more than that actually for the pack. That is a very early attack actually from the Cryo boys. Tugels crossing the line here, but here we go. Up and out of the saddle. Here comes Aquino. No, it's going to be Canyon. Canyon maybe to the line. Oh, and we're jumping around. Of course. Thank you very much. I love it. Sorry about that, everybody. Usually that is not an issue whatsoever. And for some odd reason, we just had a complete jump around there for us on the broadcast there tools. Apologies, everybody. That is not the usual here. So we'll go ahead and get the results in as soon as we possibly can. But quick little jump around back to the pens for us, which is not the most ideal. So again, apologies everybody there on the camera. On the cameras jumping on us, but we did see Tugels across the line. I believe Canyon down. Dev were the ones that were looking to get there. Some of those things completely out of our control. Zwift did just jump on over to the pens on us there. So apologies again. Claire, now though, it looks like we're jumping with the B category.
It's important to remember too, it's a team-based competition. So the top 30 riders will score points, added with all of those bonus sprints that we saw, and King of the Mountains along the way. So there's a lot of calculations that are made. It always matters, obviously, who's the winner of the race, the top 3, the top 10, all of that. And those results will be available for sure. But those calculations that go into a formula that has a couple layers to it. And ultimately, the team, all of their riders together, bonuses and finish points added up, Most points get 20 points, and then we start working through the series. And that's really what it's all about, is the collective body of work of all of these riders over that extended period of time. But certainly a standout moment for us there as we pick up. Now, this is going to be the Bees. We're with Claire, another Cryogen. Gotta love Cryogen. Their representation is absolutely awesome. As this is going to be Claire that we're looking at. And Nate, you've got them right down there at 2.5K to go.
Yeah, and as we jump forward here into the B category, we jumped right in with Tim Loke, actually. And Loke here from Innovation, I'd be on the watch out for them. 154 beats per minute currently. Evo now, Netherlands, Vanderselm there now to the front. We've got in this group, it looks like about, if I look through Nielsen at the back here from DBR, I believe we're going to have solid 20 riders coming to the line. A lot of points up for guys. DBR's in here. Innovation, very well represented. Team SZR. Look at all the blue, white, and yellow, actually. I think SZR dominating this B category right now.
Yeah, a lot of Swedish representation, that's for sure. So Eric Embring is a name that certainly stands out. The two Erics, actually, is Eric Hellstrom, also extremely talented riders from Sweden. Sweden was the nation's challenge champions, and they back that up. If you've been following racing on Zwift, certainly that is one country that punches well above its weight. So these are the men that have survived here in our B category down to the finale. I'm glad we got to pick this up. We got a couple K left here to watch how they sort this out. Does somebody channel their inner Leonard and try for a solo attack here? It takes a brave, brave rider. You don't want to end up like Don Quixote fighting the windmills out there and watch the whole group go by you either. It's a judgment call for riders, that's for sure. Risk, reward, but you got to risk it for the biscuit, right?
Yeah, this is a difficult sprint too, Dave, about the timing. And whether or not we did see yesterday with the D category, well, excuse me, not yesterday, but this morning, early this morning in the APAC, the D category did have a rider get away, but it was a much smaller group. Got away in the last 500 or so with a very early jump, got enough of a gap. There is a little bit of a riser, 1% gradient riser, and I think the timing really is around that 1% gradient riser, a kick through there, and then the downhill right after that into the finish line. It's all about the timing of the speed and slingshotting correctly over that. It's a very, very half of a second, tenth of a second even moment. We do see Loke here trying to get away, though. Maybe this might be able to work out. We'll have to wait and see. But if they get enough of a gap, closing it down can be difficult if they sleep on it.
As they say, luck favors the brave, although this is maybe the hardest size group to attack out of successfully. A smaller group, riders are going to be more worn out. Everybody's going to be looking at each other. A larger group, everybody's looking at each other. But here, you've got 25, 30 riders that all think that they can win a bike race here. Stacking the top 10, that's going to be the name of the game. If you can get 3 riders into that top 10, you should be good for our top team coming out of week 1 for the ZRL. This is our B men as they are now galloping, Nathan. It's full gas to the finish from here.
Yeah, and here we go. Ups, trying to make it happen.
Eric Hellstrom.
Innovation. Is he going to be able to hold on? Hellstrom to the line with Ups from Innovation. There's that little kick. Rue might be able to come through from KC. Here's the speed with the arrow power up, but I think Hellstrom, he's going to be holding on to the line. Ups maybe get swallowed up as it's Overguard there from DBR, followed up by Salm from Evo. That is across the line for the B category. Another 15 minutes to the start of the women's race. We're going to jump on in with the C category for their finish as well. We're going to try and do our absolute best in this season to cover all of the categories, at least for their finishes across the line, actually. So we'll be jumping across here in just a second to it looks like we do have a solid pack at the front of that C category of about 5 or 6 riders on a break, actually. So we'll see if we can get in there with Sumner, who'll be the guy that we're looking for out on course here. As we'll also be getting results in a little bit.
I think that's Paul Sumner that you're referencing there, the Evo Core rider, Nathan, as we start talking about the C's here. There you go. Nice job. This is a group then you can see 29K in. It's 32.4K of racing. I think it's exciting that we get to look at the finale for all of these different groups. So I see that Benedict Reifer has been up there. He's a dirt rider. Claudio Homier, Michael Roth having a strong day. David Thomas Seric. He's a Foudre Cognac rider. The German, Fabian Schneermann. Watch out for him. Johan Herweg. Christoph Remakers. These are some Belgians. The Belgians are having quite a day out here today, making it rain in Richmond.
Yeah, BZR Rhinos and BZR Rhinos 2 here. Really well represented in this front group right now. Much smaller group as what we saw than what we saw in that B and in the A category, actually. So they were able to break things apart a little bit. Dirt, it looks like, represented here, as well as BM Pro. Van Gossem there from the Rhinos too. Rhinos, I absolutely love that team, actually. WTRL TTT, it's the Rhinos every week versus the SZs. And yeah, all the different variations of the Rhinos. I love it, yeah. Nicholas there, as we can see from his, I believe that's going to be Foudre. And TFC represented with Kane on the front as well.
Yeah, for a reference point now, for those of you who Zwift at home, or maybe like my friend Rob, who just got his first Wahoo and is really excited about it. Well, it's a reality sandwich too, Nathan, when you get on and you realize what it takes to do what. So, yeah, reference point for these Cs. If you're not making 3 watts per kilo, that's not your wheelhouse, there's no way you're in this group. And 3 watts per kilo is not easy to do. Most people, your average guy that you'd see walking down the street, try to get him to make 3 watts per kilo, probably do it for about a minute, just say, no way, way too hard. This is a big, big effort for some fit athletes out here, Nathan, as you well know. But these guys are not joking around. The spirit of the racing is tremendous in this group. As again, we're in with Paul Sumner right now out of the United Kingdom with the Evo Core 1 team.
Do we have a junior rider off the front here?
That's what I was wondering. Yeah, so that Autobav, a junior on the TFC Mercenary squad. So I was seeing, Nathan, it looks like he's 12 seconds up, or 21 seconds up, excuse me.
Yeah, I think the junior riders
that's real.
Going to be getting an upgrade perhaps here. Under 20, as we can see, 54 races. He took a win in the 3R Watopia Hilly race back on the 8th of January.
Yeah.
But
his heart rate is 187 beats per minute.
Yeah, absolutely flying here. Now he has averaged 3.8 watts per kilogram, and in the B category. You're looking at 3.2.
That's quite a bit more than the rest of the guys.
Yeah, 2.5 to 3.2 is really what we're looking for there. So I believe Bav most likely he's going to get the Oprah meme, and it's an upgrade for you, and an upgrade for you. But solid ride here though, still by the junior rider, and congratulations on taking the W out here. Kane there from TFC on the chase a little bit, but probably going to allow his ride. This isn't coming back here, so it's going to be a sprint for second on the day. But Bav going to walk away with this first one in season 2, and that's the first couple of races also are figuring out where things are at, especially for a lot of the newer riders that are out here in the world of Zwift. We had, I think what was it, 58,000 sign-ons last season, and this season we've got even more racers. And so I think this is a huge introduction for a lot of people to the world of Zwift racing. I think the World Championships also turned a lot of people on to like the reality of esports and e-racing. So, a lot of new people going to be figuring out where they stand amongst the community. It's very new to a lot of people.
It's really a great challenge. What a useful, purposeful way to get through lockdown for so many folks. And it's turned into just what's been a tremendous amount of fun. This is going to be our finale here, Nathan, as we take a look at a big group coming. Well, I guess I'd say a moderate-sized group. They've done some selecting out there, but get ready to hit the turbo boost.
Here comes Kane, but no, it's going to be Vane there. Rhinos, that's the Rhinos to the line. It looks like they're stampeding. And maybe he take this without an arrow power up? No, it's going to be Gossam, I believe, his teammate. Well, the hold on there with the feather. The speed's coming through. This one's right to the line. His teammate takes him out at the line. It looks like it was going to be Gossam with the sprint. What a kick there coming from Gossam. Solid effort there. from them. We are seeing
Either
some
way,
questions
Nathan,
coming through. The women's race is going to be covered. They're starting in just a couple of seconds here. 8 minutes. 8 minutes to the start of the women's race. Go ahead, Dave. Sorry for interrupting you there.
oh, no. I was going to say either way, when you get beaten a sprint in the ZRL by your teammate, that's gravy because now you're just getting points on top of points, right? Stacking on top of stacks. That's the name of the game out here with these points. So the Rhinos had quite a ride out here. Oh, you found the D's. Nice work, Nathan.
Yeah, jumping in with the front end of the D category, it's going to be Schenk
Ooh,
White
little
on the
break.
herd team, Zwift Espana, it looks like, as well as Von Schenk. So that's the situation. A solid minute 7 back there to the Berserker, Bruval, and then Zwift Scotland as well. So this is the chase group, but they ain't coming back here at this point. This is your top 4 for sure in this D category. The women's race starting in just a few minutes. I did see the questions coming on through. One other announcement, again, if you're just tuning in, I know we did say this at the top of the broadcast. We see a lot of questions about other divisions. This season, there will be more coverage of other divisions. So be on the watch out for the scheduling of the broadcasts because we will schedule them ahead of time on the YouTube channel to let you know exactly what is being covered each week across each one of the time zones. We cover APAC, we cover EMEA, we also cover America's East and West, but we will be covering different divisions this time around in order to spread things out a little bit across the community. We will always try and jump in with the categories across the race as best we possibly can, as we do see some cool sprints actually happening here. That's going to be Van Schenk from Team Swedish Swifters taking down that sprint. It looks like White going to hold on with Serviceton across the line for third. Will Schenk continue on here? I think he's going to slow right on down and say, let them come back.
Yeah, that was impressive, however, and certainly foreshadowing the final sprint, I would think. Or does he keep going? No, I think you're right. Looks like he's going to sit up.
He's got the gap now.
Hard to say.
Just letting them roll. They're kind of just 32 kilometers per hour, 31. He could continue on 156. Doesn't look like he's interested though. It's like it's almost like they're like, go ahead. We don't want to even mess with you. And he's like, nah, we're gonna go here.
Well, it looks like they're going to bring him back, but they're certainly not going to want to go through that again, right? They're like, I don't want to sprint against this guy. That was no fun, Von Schneck. So here we go. The best thing you can do is try to put him under some pressure. This is going to be Emil Seversen Fox there. Fred Eric White is the German rider. Magnus von Schneck was the rider who just won the sprint there, the Swede. And then the Spanish rider is Vitas 979, which is a bike.
Couple more points on grab here real quick. We're getting with Schemming there. Looks like Kettlebloom there, and then Varlet off the back. This is for the more minor placings in that top 10. Bruval off the back with Berserker. Could get a little bit of a break in this second group right now with Schemming, but it looks like KC rider is going to slow right on down. Again, not for the podium, but there are points on the line here for these more minor placings, so definitely matters. With Espana here now on the front again. 4.1 watts per kilogram. Little bit of a gap. If we get this camera, he's got 7 meters. Outside of 5 meters, it is a concern. So at 12 meters, this rider's just continuing on.
There it is.
See you later, boys.
Yep. All right, let's see if the legs can back up this move. As we said, nothing beats watching a bold rider in the final few K. I love when they throw down the gauntlet. That's exactly what we've got here with the Spanish rider, Vitas 979. And here we go, 2 seconds. So we're starting to open it up. As we were saying, I mean, that was classic there. Magnus von Schenck was a strong sprinter, the Swedish rider. And what do? How do you combat that? You take it to him. Go on the offensive. Don't lay back and wait for another bad sprint experience. Make it a whole new world. Put him behind the 8 ball here. But looks like they're going to be responsive. And, hey, that's the name of the game out here. You don't know unless you try.
You know, what I love about this, the world of Zwift and cycling meeting esports, being a big esports fan for so long, these names to me are normal, like 979, like some random, like somebody just being called Universe. This guy's name is Universe. Right. This guy's name is You know, like this
Mr.
guy's name's
World.
Arteezy,
Right.
like whatever, like and so, but imagine in real life, like 979's coming over the top for the game. Like, I mean, that just. I'm trying to like the crossover would be hilarious if people were able to have just these random, tag names. Like this is my avatar name. Like, but 979 is going to take trying to make it happen. He gets caught by the rest of the pack here at this point. Silverstein, White, and Schneck now, all back
It's this
together.
bizarre mix, Nathan, of worlds that come together here with your cycling enthusiasts and historians, gaming people, people who just thought they were showing up to exercise, who found themselves drawn into a world of racing. And we end up with the greatest community. There's no doubt. So I own V979. That's in reference to a French aluminum bicycle manufacturer, Vitus. You know the Vitus team that McGlinchey rides for. Well, back in the day, they had a model called the 979. I owned one. I was a big fan of those Vitus bikes. And yeah, see, just all that cross pollination happening out here with our D men as we're ready to bring it on home. They've got about a kilometer and a half until this one is done and dusted. 4 riders, always an interesting scenario. Nathan, this is maybe as good as it gets in bike racing. A small group like this, 4 riders coming to the line with one rider who's already shown that he's got a wicked sprint. That would be the man in the back there, the Swede, Magnus. Playing it smart right now, sitting on as a sprinter would. Cagey like a cat.
Yeah, White here now for the herd, leading it out. 365 forward. Whew. Little bit of now. This is kind of that tough spot here. You're in the 3 watts per kilogram. This is over threshold for him. Not sure.
Yeah, this is
really what he wants to do here at this point. I think the riders behind are really the ones that are going to get the benefit from White here, trying to just make them suffer. He's trying to just ride them off his wheel, it seems like, but Silverstein now closing it down.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting. Once they get that sniff of the finish line, everything changes, and that's where riders who really have that intangible. There's some people that it's in their DNA to win. Other people are happy to finish or just race, and for other people, that's not good enough. And you never really know until you pin a number on people what it's like. But this is going to be Fred Eric White here, the herd rider, the German, saying goodbye.
Amazing kick here, it looks like. And he just looks like said it fast and said enough is enough. I'm just going to go hard and ride these guys off my wheel. And it looks like it's going to work here. He's even got an arrow power up there. He had the kick, but he's only got a feather. He already blown it off there. So I believe White's got this.
Magnus alert. I think you're right, Nathan. I think Fred does. Magnus is now hitting out. But they're going to run out of road. Way to go, Fred. Nice job. Slaying the giant here as Fred Eric White of the herd team takes out the big win in Richmond. Got a lot of calculating to do, a lot of points to tabulate, and tables to fill, Nathan, as we wrap up for the Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, all of our racing out there. That was awesome. Thanks for showing us all the categories. I love it. We'll do a lot more of that, I bet.
Yeah, now we're right on into more racing, though. We'll go ahead and jump back into. We're gonna jump in with the results in just a little bit here, everybody. But the women are just getting out on course for the EMEA, so we're gonna jump in with them in just a moment here. We got to make sure that everything's set up and ready to go. But we've got plenty of women in this category. I'm seeing 85 in the starters for the A's. They are just getting out on course. I know a lot of people do jump in for the results as well into the broadcast. We'll get those up as soon as we possibly can. We may have to wait until, I don't want to miss any of the racing action. One of the things that we do like to value here for sure, we do see your feedback a lot, is like, where's this? Where's the start of this? And we definitely want to see and highlight everybody's big efforts, because that's what you show up here for, is like, I know this person or that person, or I'm a fan of this person, and they had this amazing effort over here. In those images, we always want to catch them. So we're going to jump out there and catch those right off the bat rather than jumping into the results, because the women are already out on course, and I'm seeing some big names in the A's. So let's go ahead and watch them climb this first climb into 23rd Street reverse. They're already onto the downhill here. Down that Governor Street, that's usually the forward. But Rachel Elliott, Soxter Watts, I'm seeing Turbo here. I'm seeing McKay. Beast Mode, the new team that recently just came into so Beast Mode's coach and the person who put that together was actually coaching Jason Osborne, the current world champion on the men's side of things. So watch out for Beast Mode. We saw them this morning in APAC. They are a team that I think they're coming out of nowhere all of a sudden. But in the background, there's actually some really, really experienced people in the world of Zwift racing and cycling in general.
Yeah, this is such a fun group to watch race. There's so much talent and experience. That full spectrum is, you'll see young riders making their way up into the sport. But Nathan, this one just never disappoints. So again, for everybody joining us, we're kind of shifting gears. We move through a lot of racing as we go around the globe. But just to quickly hit the reset button for you here, you're looking at the women. This division is the Europe, Middle East, and Africa, which means that most of these riders you're going to find coming out of Europe, but that's not all for sure. And you'll certainly, we'll have a chance to highlight that as I do see a few American flags popping up there. But this one is quite the mixing pot that we have. But Nathan, you can feel the pressure right now. I mean, we're only 2 kilometers in. No race hits you in the face with a 2x4 harder than Richmond reverse, I would say. Well, maybe there's a couple. Innsbruck comes to mind, but look at this. Absolutely damage being done all over the course. Oh, Nathan, I got to throw it back to you because this race is going ballistic out here right now. We're only 2.2K in, and look at this. Extensive damage to the peloton. How much regrouping can even happen right now?
Beast Mode already off the front here, but this is a dangerous move here. The thing is, though, this rider got enough gap. Kumar got enough gap. With Gamps is the only rider, as well as Olivia Barrow there from Team Turbo, within striking distance here. Rachel Elliott there, 3 seconds. Now, the surge that I usually talk about, there's not a large pack, though, here. It's split up so much that there's enough room to continue on with this. Now, they're going to come on pretty fast here with the rest of this pack with a little bit of a slingshot as you do see them coming through, but this might be enough if they can continue on, or was too much given for that Queen of the Mountain there. Leah Thorberson now coming over the top there, 7 watts per kilogram here now from Team Turbo. Turbo's showing up. Barrow, Thorvaldsen, looks like those are the 2 head-to-head from Turbo, and they are not messing around. Great to see Turbo back in the conversation. Obviously, Season 2 for Zwift Racing League is on their radar. I'm loving to see the purple kid on the front.
Olivia Berry has made huge steps forward here, the turbo rider out of Canada, but put her in the conversation for a rider to watch this season. No doubt about it. Leah Thorvaldsen. Leah, you are a legend, and she's showing you why. What a dynamic start to this race. So when it starts like this, Nathan, you wonder, what have we got to look forward to? Remembering some of you are just joining us now, it's 32, let's say 32 and a half kilometers of racing over 2 laps. A lot of this, you might be wondering, wait, this looks familiar. What's going on here? Well, it's Richmond. You're right, but it's reverse. And certainly it changes so much. It still suits a punchy style rider, but there's a good look at what you're up against. We have bonus sprints to talk about as well. There have been some changes here as we move into Season 2. This is race 1 of the ZRL. I want to say ZRL. I heard a lot of that yesterday. The ZRL Zwift Racing League Season 2 here. Haven't really ever seen a race start quite like this. A lot of that has to do with the strong field. The course here as well gives them a tremendous amount to work. This is your classic Donnybrook. There's going to be some regrouping here because, Nathan, if we look through the next section of the course now, so they've been through 23rd, they've been up and over Libby Hill, down the cobblestones. I couldn't even imagine in real life the chaos that coming down those cobblestones would cause. But now we start the climb to Broad and Monument.
I think the reality of that first 23rd Street Queen of the Mountain that Kumar grabbed is a little bit of a punch in the face after trying to go over the top of Livy after taking those first points. Now just holding on, it looks like. Her teammate Freibel just ahead of her. We'll see if Kumar can make this happen, but grab those points. Is that all that's on the menu here today for Kumar? As she now has a 1 second gap back. She has to close this down immediately because this is going away. And those riders that are behind, it's not coming back. This is the cream of the crop at the top of this race right now, and they are not slowing down. And you know why? They can taste blood in the water. They can sense it. They can sense that there is a struggle at this point. The packs are small enough that you can make this stick, and they need to continue on. And that's exactly what's happening with Sock Schwartz at the front here with Rachel Elliott, one of the most experienced Swifters in the world, one of the winners of the first esports live events, dominating for years out on Zwift. And she makes her way to the front. Now it's going to be Z-Sun and the rest of Beast Modes, Bristol Friars as well. The instigators, though, being Turbo, still involved. They've got 2 riders. Clara Good was there as well, maybe just a little ways back in this chase group. So a 3rd rider from Turbo. Maybe they want to keep her involved and might back off a tad. Where is Good? Maybe Good came across.
She's there. I see her there.
McKay's here as well. Wow, Turbo is involved.
But they really are. Got to give Z-Sun credit as well with Denman. Well, both of the Denmans here, Jessica and Melissa, up in this group. Helen McKay, the turbo rider, also very, very strong that we're going to want to be watching for here. Well, you don't see many races make as big of a selection as this one has in the first 6K, but we're moving into a new phase of this race. It's certainly fair to say that Rachel Elliott is the queen of Zwift in my mind. Leah Thorbalson would deserve that same kind of respect. Someone who's just put so much in the platform, been a mentor for so many riders. There's Yax as well, just seeing that name popping up. Another very dangerous rider. We were talking about Olivia Berry a little bit early. Well, Kristen Yax also. Boy, there's a lot of talented riders in this group. This is going to be quite a bike race here that we've got as they're making their way just really through the first half. That next group might join here, Nathan. Actually, we might see this welded back together.
May be able to pull it up, but then if they hit Governor as hard as they hit the first 2 climbs, it may break apart again. 9 seconds. A couple of riders that are really strong in this group here may be sitting in and waiting to punch across. A lot of times a climb, when there's that 5 to 10 seconds, is the place that you can make that up if you go into the red. Hannah Ludwig here, as you can see, Canyon Schramm on the back sitting at 144. Looks like she's just resting up and waiting for her moment to pounce, following wheels here at this point. We did see a comment coming through from Kim Little. Great to see Kim hanging out in the chat. Long-time Zwifter, former UK national champion of Zwift, saying that Leah had her tater tots for breakfast, obviously. So, McKay, Turbo, Leah Thorvalson, Olivia Abari there. I mean, this is... I'm excited to see if they've got something special planned out here today with Turbo. But Ludwig, it looks like solo out here. Nobody really to work with, I believe. We'll have to see if maybe she's guest riding, though, for another team. I'm going to look through here. No, it's Canyon Schramm, from what I'm seeing. RCC in the name. So I'm wondering for the Zwift Racing League, if it's for Canyon Schramm or if it's for a community team that she's out here. We'll have to find out here. I'm going to see if we can get some info from the man himself, Mr. Martin from WTRL. But now it's going to be Rachel Elliott, Sock Schwartz making a push on the front.
Talk about the cream rising to the top here as we look at some of the big engines. That's so nice to see. That great example there of the work being done by Socks for Watts. Rachel Elliott, the rider that we're looking at, who we were just talking about. Well, that kit was earned by competing in and doing so well out here in the Zwift Racing League. So Socks for Watts now represented with that awesome unicorn kit. That's their mascot, their spirit animal. We take a look again at McKay right up there, Olivia Berry. There's some big names riding up on the front here. Expect an explosion the next time that they hit. So I have a feeling the way these ladies are racing, it's no quarter asked for and no quarter given. We might have a little bit of a reprieve right now, Nathan, but I would expect the next time that we hit 23rd and Libby, it's going to be fireworks out here.
Yeah, and it looks like the gap has gone out. Despa's now off the back a little bit here, so not sure she's going to be able to hold on. A new pickup there for that team, Sox Watts. I believe, is she riding for Sox Watts? Is that going to be right? Despa's? I thought that she was riding for another team. Interesting to see here. Looking through, but it's going to be now the kick over the top and the 25-mile-per-hour scene that there's the sign there that they're trying to break the speed limit with as they move their way in to the sprint over the top of Governors. This is going to be the next section. This is always a setup section here that we're looking at. The riders really thinking about what's their positioning. It kind of comes up around these corners, so it's out of sight. So you can't really. It can be really difficult to plan this one. You've got to time it. You got to really know the course. You have to do your recon. And Livia now was lead now backing off a little bit. Elliott now 6'3". Is this a lead out situation? Because 6 watts per kilogram.
I think she's going for it. So, Nathan, the points matter quite a bit more, don't they? Now, when you look at it, we used to score this 5 points was the maximum bonification that you could receive. Now it's 10. And when you think about that, I mean, it's 40 points is what you receive for the win of the day out here. Now the charge is coming. Here we go. The throttle opens up. Well played. We should talk about the 3 power-ups that are used, draft, arrow, and feather. You're seeing them all being deployed right now out there, emptying the tank. 10 deep. We score this from 10 down to 1 points.
This is a danger spot here. You do not want to let this go. There are little undulations through this flatter sections. There is some up and downs that can cause some problems. And if the speeds are too high, you let something go 5 meters or more, you are in
It's
a
that
world
moment,
of
right, of that moment of inattentiveness, Nathan. It's your biggest fear out here. Or maybe not your biggest fear, but
188, 189 beats per minute. So obviously some suffering. I wasn't expecting this, but the recovery over the top of that governor climb, it can be difficult, especially with the sprint immediately afterwards. You kind of, a lot of times you come over the top of a climb like that and you sigh of relief. No, immediately right into a kick. And then if riders have something left in the tank, they put the pressure on trying to break things apart. So that's what makes, again, this course does not let up on you. You hit that Libby Hill climb, you hit that 23rd Street climb, you hit Governor, then a sprint. Then you have this section where these little bumps in the road as you do hit this 3% gradient here. And this is what I was talking about. If you attack after that sprint and you hit this 3% uphill gradient, this is a moment. If you get a gap, you keep high speed, and then you continue on and attack this, that's where you can get a gap like we saw with Tugels in the men's A race. So still putting the pressure on, and they're extending their lead out to 18 seconds now. As you see, just 2 chasers with Anderson from Bristol Flyers and Lecomte from Kane and Dev. Now, 9 seconds back is going to be Despas there for Sox for Watts now trying to make the chase. Looks like she's going to be going backwards, though, to Claire Good. Then it looks like Rodriguez, Balta is all on the chase for a 3rd chase group. But this is the leaders here in the women's A's with all of the big names. Cameron, we're seeing Shalou, Gamps from the BRT riders. Their beast mode is still involved as well with Corollas. Kelly is here. Team Aeonians there as well. A lot of the well-known Z-Sun, and then, of course, Turbo. And I think they're the most well-represented at this point. I'm being told the Canyon SRAM rider is riding for RCC Women's B, from what I can see, according to Martin. So Hannah Ludwig is out here for RCC, who does support Canyon SRAM. So that would make a lot of sense as a Zwift team in the community, right? For Canyon SRAM in real life. Yeah. I mean, Rafa obviously supporting Canyon SRAM.
All that. So, Nathan, I was looking 192 beats per minute a little bit earlier for Denman, Melissa Denman. I thought, well, that has to be a junior rider here. I know Olivia Berry's, I think 21, 22, when you see those kind of that heart rate. No, a master rider. The 2 Denmans out here have been very, very impressive. So what we're going to, Jessica, the sister there, both on the Z-Sun R Hypernova team. So, Nathan, really, one of the nice things about this first race of the season here for season 2 is you get to meet the cast of characters for the women in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. These are obviously, they make it easy for you, right? Who are the riders to watch? Well, they're on your screen right now. They pretty much let their legs do the talking. It's a diverse group that we've got here as well. It's going to be interesting to see what happens the next time they hit. I mean, it's just body blow after body blow when you look at those 2 climbs that they hit, talking about 23rd and Libby. Doing it in reverse, it's interesting. Doing it in reverse doesn't make it any easier or harder, really, does it? It just really is the pinch point of the course. What do you think on that, Nathan, as far as the challenge that you face reverse on those 2 climbs versus hitting it the standard way?
Yeah, I mean, for me,
Either way, right? It hurts.
It's a good question. I mean, for me, I think this way is easier for me, um, because I like, and it really, whether or not something's easier or not has a lot to do with the field that you're with. And
Sure.
so there's the reality of like, I like climbing. I like punchy climbing. I'm a mountain biker through and through. Give me over and over and over again a ski hill to just go up and up and down, up and down, up and down for 5 laps for 2 hours, and that's my favorite kind of racing, right? And
Yeah, I hear
so
you.
as we do, but we'll get back to that. I just want to
Look at
really
the
quick
sprint
here
now. Yeah,
focus
here's
here
Helen
now.
McKay.
McKay trying to hold on. She didn't have an arrow power up. She holds on without the arrow power up. That'd be amazing. It's right to the line though. No, Cassius, as well as the cryo rider there, just nip it. She might have grabbed a couple of points. It is top 10. She will grab some points, but almost was able to walk away without even an arrow power up. But, you know, and then
Jessica, yeah. Jessica Cassius there taking the punt. So that's one of the big changes is really we've doubled the importance of these sprints. We used to be 5 down to 1 points for the first 5 riders. Now it's 10 down to 1. And got to give credit where it's due. It's going to be Jessica Cassius of the Aeonian team here picking up points, or the top points.
yeah, and just a real quick shout then about what we're saying about the difficulty of the course. A little bit of a break here now, as you can see. Ludwig trying to come back, Hart, Denman, that's the situation. But I really think it matters what kind of rider you are too. You know, for me, the back end, the reality of sprinting after going over Libby and then going over 23rd and then climbing Governor into a sprint, you always remember the finish a lot more. So for me, from a mental standpoint of like what it feels like, what you think about the finish, you know, like that kind of sticks with me a little bit. I think the overall race might be more difficult because of the reality of the climbs up front, and then it's like nothing but chasing Governor again, and then these sprints, and then it's kind of like you're able to TT a little bit more on this back end and really take advantage of that. So the overall race might be more difficult for all the riders because of this direction, because of how much damage can be done up front, and then these like battles to TT through this section. But the finish on the other direction, I think is so much harder, and that kind of sticks with me of like, well, you give everything for the finish for the win, and the way that cycling works with how much you use other riders and stuff, and the reality of pack dynamics just makes the forward so crazy of a finish. So it's a little bit, they're very different races, I would say, because the overall threshold and overall race is going to be much more difficult, I think, this direction. But the finish in the other direction is just absolute insanity.
I think it's fascinating, Nathan, when you look at how at the end of the day, it's the exact same amount of vertical gain and the same exact distance, but how different a race can play out depending on which way you go around the course. And this course really is a great example of that. This is Kristen Yax, another Aeonian rider. I've been so impressed by this program. The riders have been making their mark out here today. Helen McKay, Jessica Denman, Cassius, who picked up that last sprint. Alec Cameron has done a good job. Hannah Ludwig, we've mentioned her a few times. Jenny Hudson. And I would have to say Kristen Yax and Leah Thorvaldsen as well. Thorvaldsen back with the Turbo squad out here. But again, next time on 23rd, this group splits, Nathan. The way these women have raced so aggressively out here, I don't see all of them going to the line together or anything even close to that. Oh, been wrong before.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think, really difficult with how motivated we've seen some of these riders, and you've seen some struggling from a couple of the riders, even through the sprint sections at this point. So I do have a feeling you're correct there that we're going to see a few more break aparts, especially on that Libby climb. There's going to be a battle for points, and I think, again, we are going to see a split. We'll just have to wait and see how that ends up playing out, though, as they're going to calm right on down, I think, through this section, though. I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of attacks here for a little while, as not a whole lot of interest to waste any energy. They're just going to be looking for their next power-up, I think, Dave.
Well put. As I would advise as well, might as well try to put any charge you can on that battery because you know you're going to be needing it. You're going to be running on empty by the time we make it into the finale out here. Again, thanks for everybody who's joining us. The power ups that the riders have, might as well touch on that again. Is draft, arrow, and feather. You've got an equal chance of picking up any one of those three. So each with a 33.3% chance, if you will. And there's no doubt that that feather power up, I have to think, is what everybody's looking for out here. Is it's so useful. It's the difference maker. So certainly, I mentioned her at the top of the show, the young Canadian Olivia Berry on the Turbo team. She's definitely come up a level. Nathan, this is a rider that. When you watch how this goes, everybody has a trajectory. You're either, getting better, or maybe you're at the end of a good run of form after a big effort leading up to a massive event, say the World Championships, and then you have to go back and start rebuilding again. But you can see that some riders are just making those progressive steps forward. And someone like Rachel Elliott, I wouldn't say that about, because she's been there forever. I mean, as long as we've been doing esports, Rachel Elliott has been at the top of her game. And she's had quite a journey as well. It's one of the best stories that we have in esports when you talk about Rachel Elliott. And she is still in the conversation to win races at the very highest level. It's not like she's barely hanging on.
Oh, yeah. Rachel Elliott is still at the top of the game. They don't win the WTRL TTT almost every single week for the last 30, 40 weeks for no reason. The Sasha Watts team really, and she is a juggernaut, a foundation of that team. So Rachel Elliott, and again, the reality of what this platform has done for Rachel Elliott and riders like her. She, for those of you that don't know, having medical, issues with, I believe, is an aneurysm and some blindness that then made it so that she was only able to ride really out on Zwift. She's also able to do some tandem competitions in real life where she's won huge awards and big championships actually in those tandem competitions. But now Zwift being the main thing, being partially blind, pretty amazing what the platform can provide for her to continue on in her athletic career. It's absolutely amazing to see this rider's grit, and then that coming together with this community and platform is one of the most amazing stories in the world of Zwift racing. Now, a quick shout out to a Zwift Power profile. If you haven't headed over to Zwift Power, make sure to head on over there if you want to do some Zwift racing. That is the place to do it. Connect it to your Zwift profile, and you can do that through your Zwift login on their website, and make sure to make those connections, and you can go ahead and race and get tracked through all of the races over on Zwift Power. But Olivia Barr here, one of the best profiles I've ever seen, level 38 Zwifter, and it's just her eating pizza. Is her profile picture, and I'm loving the pizza power that she's throwing down here. I'm absolutely loving it. Level 38 Zwifter. She's got a 10.28 watt per kilogram, 15-second sprint. So you're going to watch out. 7.8 for 1 minute. So definitely on the rise here. She averaged 4.1 watts per kilogram for her second place back on the 4th of January, actually, in the Team TFC Monday Mad Monday Winter Series, which is a no-joke series as well. So Olivia definitely on the hunt here in this season too. We're watching
she's
next,
going
though.
Places.
Oh, for sure.
I have to wonder, Nathan, if you looked at it, how many people who are watching this webcast actually Zwift themselves? The number would be tremendously high. I mean, I would expect it's 80%. What would be your guess be, just off the top of your head?
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing.
What, 80?
So that's a really interesting point, because there's something here with Zwifting, as we do see Gamps here on the attack, that, there is something here that's different than regular esports, because usually in regular esports, people don't watch unless they play the game. And I think it's going to be a higher percentage in the regular esports that have played the game or are related to the game in some sort of way. Whereas I think with this, you're going to get, and still it's going to be a very, very high percentage as compared to like American football or European, football, where you've just got general population watching a little bit more. So, but still, I think that the percentage, you have this meeting place where you have a little bit more of that in real life sport thing happening, where you're going to get spectators just for the sake of spectating more so than the regular esports world, where you've got just a lot of people who play this game who want to watch the top level of the esport who are going to be coming in. I think the percentage is way higher there. Whereas here, we'll get a little bit higher percentage, I think, of people who just want to watch sport and from a general population. So, but again, yes, I do think you're going to be looking at probably 85, 90% of the people watching. A lot of family members, I think, too, as well. And then people who are like, wait, what's going on here? So, yeah, 20% green.
Right on cue.
They're on the go.
Yeah, so the young Canadian turning herself into a wattage chateau here, as this is going to be Olivia. So it's Ben Gamps, the Danish rider. She's been tremendous. Louise Gamps there of BRT, and she's going to lock on to that. Wow, what a battle. Theo Thorvaldsen now coming forward. Turbo in full effect. So Turbo has a chance of picking up 19 points as we score across Libby, up 23rd. Look at how this is blown to bits, Nathan. All right, well, that question has been answered. This is insane. What is going on out here right now? There are racers.
The pizza
all
power
over
is off the
Yeah.
front here. Olivia, 193. And this is what she did last round. Last time around, first lap, her and Thorvaldsen with the kick, but this is the 4-second gap. This is gone. Now, does she want to stick this and hold? Because otherwise she can just sit up a little bit, but she could just try and go and say goodbye to the rest of the field. Cryogen going to battle it out here, it looks like, with Gamps, and it's Gamps just holding off for the second place points. Miller, Cryogen, Thorvaldsen pulling through. 3-second gap back to Kelly here at this point. I think that they're gone, though. They are gone.
Yourselves a bike race, folks. This is going to be really interesting. So we were just, I feel like a hype man for Olivia Berry there, the Canadian, because as we were just talking about her, she exploded out on that Libby Hill climb, and now we're going to see, is she going to try to make a run at it here? I think now. So it's going to be Thorvaldsen, Miller, Elliott, Yax, Carolus all up here, but this is the Turbo rider. You can see they're stalking right behind her. Nathan, I think discretion might be the better part of valor, as you were saying. Maybe she does want to sit up and join this elite front group rather than trying to hold them off right now, and I think that's what she's doing. That's showing some maturity, to tell you the truth. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And in this case, she did her damage over Libby Hill. She picked up the maximum bonification. Now she can rejoin her teammate, Leah Thorvaldsen, here in this. What a selection we have got here. Aye. Well, going to be fun.
This is quite a race. This is because now with a smaller group, you can start to see attacks. You can start to see a little bit more action here because it opens it up a little more for more risk and more reward with less riders to sit in on wheels, less riders to pull things back, less of a snowball effect here. Now we can see some serious action. Exactly, Dave.
Yeah, and I love that. This is where everyone is completely exposed. Think of it this way. They're all stripped of their armor, right? They all only, you start looking now tactically. How do you do this? How do you strategize? Well, they got a huge advantage here because certainly Olivia Berry is on her A game. Leah Thorvaldsen is a living legend here. So I would expect a bit of a 1-2 barrage coming from those riders. I mean,
pizza and tater tots, Dave. Pizza and tater tots. They're going to be able to take it down. Let's go. Here we go. And it's going to be.
That sounds just horrible to me. It sounds like you're at a Shakey's or something, eating pizza and potatoes at the same time. But for these ladies, you got to get the watts wherever you can. Pizza has a great relationship with Zwift. That was what got me on that question earlier, because anybody who Zwifts is aware that the pizza is sort of how we keep track of how much you've ridden. It's one way to do it, right? The number of slices that you've earned. I can only imagine how many pies you've stacked up, Nathan. Pies on pies on pies.
Oh, whatever's worth like 30 to 40 million drops or something like that. I'm not sure. So it's a lot of pizzas here. Thorvaldsen now, a little bit of tater tots off the front, but nope, not going to be happening. Elliott shuts it right on down. Will there be a counter for anybody? They'll wait for the governor, I think.
Kim Little, who's part of our Zwift family, I'm a big fan of Kim. He must have, so he would know Leah back through some Zwift Academy days, I'm sure. So there's always, I love that behind the avatar aspect is that these are all human beings. They're on smart trainers somewhere on planet Earth. It's kind of an equalizer this time of year for North Americans is our friends in Texas aren't racing in 100-degree weather, right? You can open up a window and get your place down to pretty cool anywhere in the United States or Europe at this point. So everybody gets a nice shot at it out here. And each one of these individuals has pride and certainly ambition. But this is a team game. Always important to remember that, Nathan. Right now, if you're Turbo, you're winning the day, aren't you? Well, or does Sox for Watts have two up here as well? Or just one? I'm sorry, it's just Rachel Elliott, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just Rachel Elliott. Everybody
Not
else
just
is
Rachel.
well, and that's one rider who could just ride away from the rest of this pack. That
Right,
is
exactly.
a reality of her strength.
Rachel's
so.
like having three riders there, but only one can score points in this situation. It might be as strong as three.
Now, as things are, they're going to hit this governor here. I do want to give a heads up to everybody. We do have the men's West just taking off. So I will be going back and forth now between the two races at this point. And we will have a split screen to be able to bring up here. So between the men and the women, as they do take off a little bit closer than what we see in the East and men's East and the women's racing for EMEA here. So we'll be going between these two as best as we possibly can. A little bit of a kick here. Plastic Cockneys, that's ones to be watching out for in the men's race. I do see a little bit of a kick. Is that going to be Team Experimental? Yeah, it is actually Kim Little himself with his own bits of tater tots. We were just talking about this rider. Let's go ahead and watch
Channeling
this little bit of a sprint here. Here we go.
Channeling his inner Leah.
Will he take it to the line? Experimental, former UK champion on the front, kicking over the top. Now, will he be? This is a rider who's got a lot of tact, a lot of experience. I have a feeling he's going to sit in and slingshot this well as Kim Little makes his way to the wheel here of the Skyrocket Bowen. Plastic Cockneys with Jenkins not coming through.
Double dip on the points here because you get two wham bam moments there that comes at you so quick in the first
Look at the
5K.
speed difference. 60K versus on the front there, 40K. Wow. This is what I was talking about. If you take that first, you almost have to try to slow down because watch how fast he's going to go backwards here. 60K from doing almost nothing from that pack coming down, that snowball effect of 23rd. It really, really matters. Look at this. For those of you who are watching the broadcast, you saw it there. If you do take those top spots on that 23rd, you got to back off and go with the pack.
Sit up.
You really do because you got a slingshot with them. You see Kim now is way back. We've seen it with almost every single rider, too, that's taken that first one. They end up on the back end.
That is the pro tip. And Nathan, I really appreciate your expertise there. But for racers who are going to be out there later in the day, and I know for our America's East and West broadcasts, we have quite a few riders who are watching right now at work or whatever they're doing. Nathan, that's the biggest takeaway I think that you're going to get tip-wise out of this course. So thank you very much for that. That's notable. As we take a look at the points being scored here, again, 10
Casket, get
deep.
It? Wow. Ooh, Casket with the kick.
Very close.
He's always got a solid kick on those climbs there. I race against Casket almost every weekend. He does the KISS 100 European, so midnight my time it starts. He likes to get up early, it looks like, in over there in the UK, actually. I believe it is that Casket's coming out of. So he's got a solid kick, a climber for sure. So this will be on the front end of the race, is kind of a race. But able to almost grab it, I think, there from Tor 2K Callis.
I have never ridden Richmond in reverse. Doing it in reverse and that shot right there gives you a much better perspective of how hard that lead-in is on the climb to the bottom of Libby Hill there. It's not just the cobbled part that makes a difference. Looking at the women, and now you can see that they're up almost to 25K in, and that group is going to be watching each other very, very closely. As everyone right now, as we talked about a few minutes ago, you're just exposed out here. A little bit of a push again from Olivia. This is the advantage that Turbo has. So Thorvaldsen now will slot herself right in and let the other riders chase. I love the timing here, Nathan. Very well executed by Olivia. As this now is going to do some damage, as it looks like it's not exactly an organized chase. Rachel Elliott's going to take the bait. Here we go. This is definitely moving into a new phase, Nathan.
Am I seeing two Z Sun riders here? What? What? So I saw. So a moment ago, I saw
Yeah, there you
Rachel
go. I didn't
Elliott.
notice
I
that.
saw Rachel Elliott say, "Great job" to Kelly just a moment ago, and I think Kelly came back. I
There you
think
go.
that's why
That
she
is,
was saying that. What a huge effort! Because
you don't
there
see
was
that
definitely
much.
not two Z Sun riders earlier. There were not two Z Sun riders earlier.
It's the
Like,
red and white kit, or the white jersey, red shorts
yeah,
for
just as a
Z-Sun.
heads up for everybody there. Apologies,
Yeah,
everyone. I'm not giving you the, but there it is with the Z on the back there. Denman here, her teammate Kelly was not in this pack earlier. I saw Rachel give her some congratulations as it was on
that's
the
great.
Governor Street climb, and she is here. I'd be on the watch out for this rider after that kind of a ride. Actually,
That's
that
Lou
would
Kelly.
concern me. That I would be very very worried about a rider who could come back to this kind of a group.
So Lou Kelly is a level 19 Zwifter. That's about as fresh as they get to be racing at this level.
Yeah, that is very new blood out on course here. Kelly, great
Good
to
for her.
see.
She's got so much potential. If I had a team, I would be signing her, or I'd be reaching out to her right now. This is a rider who's going places. That's just learning that name, to be honest with you. I'm already impressed. And it shows heart, too. Because, Nathan, how many times have we heard people, the negative Nellies out there, but saying once you get dropped, you never rejoin a group. It's not even worth trying, or a breakaway will never work. Well, we've just seen both of these things disproven here today so far in our first two races. We saw Leonard
Yeah,
win in
huge
that
amount of
breakaway.
heart.
He was fantastic. Yeah, it comes down to, do you want it? Do you have heart? Are you a fighter, or do you quit? Give up?
Quick little question here coming on through from Tyler King. Are points scored on the Libby Hill KOM? Yes, they are. There are points on both of those KOMs for first across the line. First across the line. For fastest, though, it is only the 23rd and the Monument. So, because there are different point structures going on, not point structures, but points competitions going on. There is one that is for the specifically first across the line for first through 10th. And then it's also the fastest segment as well. So, and that can be done anytime throughout the race. So, if the front pack does get the fastest segments, if somebody even amongst this front pack gets the fastest segment time, they will also be able to grab some points. But riders further back that are in another pack riding along can then give some points toward their team by getting the fastest segment time as well through those other two, Tyler.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a new wrinkle on it. We talked about how the points have changed. It's just some, as we went through season one, we listened to the feedback, and that was certainly something, more opportunity to score points was something that riders and directors were looking for. So as we go to the split screen here, we're going to go jump back in now with the men.
They're just heading into their sprint section here in just a moment. You can see in the upper right hand corner where each of the KOM and sprint sections are with that little mini map. You can also see it in the graph that we do have here for each one of this 2 laps of the UCI. They're on the first lap for the men here, as you can see. And we are just heading into that Broad Street sprint after that Governor Street climb here. They are into the flatter section just in a moment. So this is that halfway. It's kind of a little 2-tier. You can see it in that map even a little bit, that first little kick. And then it's kind of this rounded out apex a little bit there. A little bit off the front here. It's going to be BRT, Bolt Racing Team, giving a little bit of a kick.
I love Bolt Racing Team. Been coming on strong, that's for sure. Better is the rider that we're looking at. And when you're on an uphill like that, 6%, that gap is a few seconds right now. Make it 3 seconds here. It's always interesting, that distance time equation and how that changes as the steeper it is, the closer they are. As this point in the race now, early going here, this is the Europe, Middle East, and Africa West men that we're looking at as we work our way. And actually, everything kicks off many hours ago with our friends Kate and Anna covering the APAC. So we're getting into the meat and potatoes of the day at this point. This gap is continuing to grow right now, Nathan. Good job by Better here.
Yeah, and we'll have to see if he can hold on a little bit here. But no, we've got riders coming on through it looks like, for the sprint. Will he hold on? I think he's
He's
going to
gonna
do it.
hold on,
Yeah,
though.
he's got it.
Yeah.
Nice. Milk coming through. It looks like
Well played.
man after my own heart here with the Two of America's Dairyland. So coming out of
Yeah, all
this
he needs
guy's,
to do is sea
he
milk,
needs
so
to
it can be
he's
chocolate
gotta
milk.
needs to
Right.
just visit to Wisconsin with that name. I mean, come on, Milk, come on over, buddy. We got this
So
is your home country.
for those that don't know, Nathan lives in America's Dairyland, where so much of the dairy products, the cheese, the milk, the ice cream comes from Wisconsin, and they have a great race series called Toad, the Tour of America's Dairyland, and there's a lot of milk
Yeah, it's
is
not about
offered up.
frogs. It's not about
No,
frogs.
no, not about poisonous toads. All right, well, so sprint points offered up. This group is starting to go single file out here. Nice little look now at the women in a replay of their final sprint, I believe.
Yeah, this was their final sprint, and it was Leah Thorvaldsen. We'll jump back over to the women because they're about to hit up their final sprint also to the line. But this was their final on Monument, and it was going to be Gamps and Thorvaldsen going to the line, as you can see.
Louise Gamps,
Ooh,
monster.
Turbo. Look
She
at
is-
Turbo, though. Man, BRT, though,
Oop.
with Gamps, you're right. She has been on it.
Yeah, that's certainly a rider who's standing out here in week number 1 of the Zwift Racing League. Thorvaldsen and Barry up there. Olivia Barry and Fuego out there today. Back in with this select front group. Not going to put you on the spot, Nathan. To make a call picking a rider out of this group would be quite a challenge, wouldn't it? If you were the sports bettor handicapping this group. Boy, there's a way you could picture a path to victory for every rider in this group.
Yeah, I think, Pizza Power versus BRT at this point is kind of where I'm at. Yeah, I'm kind of Olivia's just been on fire today. She came into this race number 1 in season 2, obviously very prepared. I think coming out of season 1, there was a lot of motivation. Turbo on the scene again. I think, also Team Turbo,
Luke.
what they were born out of, coming out of Team Draft originally, the mad scientist Greg Leo from back in the day. Those of you who have been around for a while will know all about him and Team Turbo and what they had launched there. And then Leah really taking the reins on that a little bit. And, Turbo, they were a top tier team. They took a little bit of a backseat for a little while, in my opinion. I wouldn't say it's like that A to almost A plus situation, and I think they're just a team that belong at that top level in my head because of where they've been. And I have a feeling that Olivia Barry, she's, along with Leah here, showing up like this. I think be on the watch out. I think there's some serious motivation to get them back in that top spot.
Agreed. Louise Gamps, for me, is the rider that might be the biggest thorn in the side for Olivia Barry. I'd be surprised if those two don't find their way into that trifecta of our top 3 out here today. You know what's great about this sport is the riders get to prove it. We can talk all day, Nathan, but at the end of the day, they get to prove it with their legs out here, their legs and their brains, because there's no doubt it's not just the strongest rider. As we've joked, this is so far from an exercise contest at this point, it's not even funny. This is a Machiavellian chess match on wheels with a little bit of a bar fight thrown in the mix as well. So Olivia Barry looks like she's going to throw down the gauntlet here at first. The young Canadian moving to the front. That's going to be Denman now, the Z-Sun rider. So Z-Sun going to try to make a most of the superior effort that they've seen as we are now basically looking at 1K to go right here, right now. Can Kristen Yax for Aeonian pull it off? She's a monster.
Beast Mode's in here as well, and this is their debut. Watch out for Corrales as well. There's a lot of names that there may be some names that come straight to the forefront from history, but there's also maybe some new history to be made here. We'll see what happens with this Beast Mode German team rider here, Corrales now, and Denman Z-Sun as well. So it's really in the first race of the season. There's going to be a lot of motivation to take this down. Denman now 4.2 on the front here, Dave.
Yeah, Thorvaldsen, though, is going to be giving a lead out here to Barry. They've got this put together perfectly right now. They are sitting in the sweet spot. They've timed it right. They've kept their powder dry. Leah Thorvaldsen is going to use her tremendous experience. Watch the riders in purple here coming right through the middle. They're about to ignite. So they have made the call to the control center. They're looking for the launch code. And ladies and gentlemen, here we go. It's the grand finale for the women here in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Nathan, as they go into the final few hundred meters. I'm going to throw it to you because this one will qualify as an absolute Donnybrook, racing at its best.
There it goes. It's going to be Cryogen now. Cryogen with the kick. No, Denman. First, a little bit of a power up with the kick with that feather, but no, Cryogen now. Also with the feather, trying to get the jump. Olivia Bari now. Bari with the kick and the arrow there. 12 watts per kilogram. As we said, it's pizza power off the front. Gamps looks to respond, but the arrow runs out, and it's going to be Olivia walking away with this one. It's a race for second place. Cryo across the line. Rachel Elliott, I think, for third.
Wow.
We'll take a look at the replay, but you nailed that one. Turbo. They showed up to race today. They dominated the race today. Really, from the get-go, we saw the reality of what they have shown up to do in this season because it was nonstop from Leah Thorvaldsen and Olivia Bari there. They kicked every Queen of the Mountain. They attacked over the top over and over again of Governors, and then they take down the sprint. What a setup. Let's take a look at the replay here, Dave.
Well, today, Nathan, Turbo gets to say, you like apples? How about them apples? That was something else. No doubt Leah Thorvaldsen played her role. This is how you finish a sprint, dropping that power up at the perfect time. And a Canadian, Olivia Berry, for the Turbo team takes the win. And look at that fight for second, Nathan.
Wow. And
what a race.
What
a great race.
This Ryder Miller, it was on my radar, actually. I was going to say, and I'm glad that Cryogen showed up because they have really,
good for them.
They've really been all about it
Tammy
lately.
Miller.
So Tammy Miller, solid
Tammy
ride there
Miller
from Cryo.
Yeah, sorry to step on you, Nathan. Tammy Miller deserves a lot of credit for, making that selection and still having the kick against that group to end up with the silver medal. We'll look how the points all sort out. But I tell you, if that's an indicator of what racing is going to be like for season 2, I am pumped. This is awesome. Thanks to all of our gladiators of Zwift out there for putting on quite a show. And congratulations, Olivia. You've got a bright, bright future.
Yeah, huge result there coming in for Turbo. Put him back on the map. Loving to see it. We will jump in with the women's Bs in just a moment. We are in with the men. They are going to be starting their second lap in just a moment here. And we'll see those kicks that really make the race over and over again. I believe we're going to jump in, though, with Carrie Coleman from the Cryo team in the B category. She is a part of a front group here. So we'll go split screen a little bit back and forth. We do try our absolute best to cover all of the categories, and they are actually coming into the final K here actually already in this B category for the women.
Well, they were hustling, weren't they? Full tilt boogie out there in Richmond as we have everybody doing 2 laps. It's a great example, though, of if you want to get involved, there will be Zwift racing for you. Just get onto a team, get signed up, become a part of it. You'll have an absolute blast. This is BZR, Cats 1, and Sanders that we're looking at here. So, all right, let's take an assessment of the race situation. Nathan, a lot of flags, that's for sure. Good to see the Irish flag up there for McKinney.
It's going to be Carrie Coleman, Michelle McKinney, Debbie Sanders, Julia Hargreaves. We're seeing Lucy Driver, Rachel Majors, Sarah Mack, all involved. There's a chase group with Juliet Elliott, actually, for SWW Bollinger. Kristen Lipscomb there, as well as Alyssa Godesky. Kat Haynes on the chase from Sox Watts, as well as Malene Hansen. And then Rosie Cox and Beth Wilmot, all on the chase. That is the first, that's like the top 15 or so, but a little bit of a kick here from Coleman. This isn't the final K now. Coleman now Cryo TC. Now off the front. That might have been a little bit early on the Tron bike there. Mac here now from Sox Watts playing the smart move maybe, but I think McKinney's going to get the best of this.
Well, and this is interesting, too, when you look at it. Coleman coming from, I'm trying to get a close look at that flag and tell if it's New Zealand, but definitely coming from New Zealand,
New Zealand, yep.
It is New Zealand. There you
Driver,
go. Yeah, so
Lucy Driver. Here goes Lucy Driver for SW Bollinger now on the attack here, and it looks like she may be able to hold on. McKinney, though, from Ireland was sitting in maybe perfectly, and it was a little bit too early there for Lucy Driver. She might get swallowed up by the rest of the pack. Can she hold on? But it's going to be McKinney from Ireland able to make it happen for Vila Vixen. Lucy holding on, and then Sanders, it looks like across the line for third for that BZR team. And did you see where McKinney was earlier in that sprint? She was sat perfectly, actually. She sat that third wheel and got dragged to the line while others kind of jumped a little bit early.
savvy Michelle McKinney there for the IRL Velo Vixens team, channeling her inner Sam Bennett, the green jersey winner from the Tour de France, or Sean Kelly. You're a legend, Michelle. Good job out there today.
Yeah, 100%. Great job. The men still just coming through for their first lap, everybody. So we will jump back to the C category in just a moment here for the women. They're about to head over into the men's EMEA West Division 1 is what I'm talking about, just so everybody knows. EMEA West Division 1 is what we have on the right-hand side. The finishing up for the C's for the women will just be happening in just a second.
Yeah, and that's something I really appreciate you doing, Nathan, trying to focus on all of our different levels of racing out here. One thing's for sure, the spirit of the racers, it's no higher or lower in the B's or C's or D's, is it? Everybody has a good time out here. And that connection that you find, is this going to be Carissa Min?
Yep, I had to do
We
it.
love
I had
Carissa.
to do it.
She's the
Carissa
best.
Min from TFC, one of the most long-standing moderators and of a lot of the
Positive
Facebook groups,
people.
leaders, super positive. She's probably streaming right now live on Twitch, actually. Head on over there, check out. She's giving us a wave. She's watching the broadcast. That was on purpose for sure. Great to see, Carissa. Everybody, tell her not to calm down. I use an old school joke is calm down Carissa in some of the forums, but she needs to not calm down and get this solid ride here for the men across the line. Great to see. I'm going to move forward, though. We're going to try and catch the sprint for the C's here in just a moment. I believe this is going to be a really large group. Oh, nope, a little bit of a break, actually, here. And they've only got 18 seconds, but I think they're going to hold off here for Thomas and TFC Storm.
All right. Well, you see so much Aeonian out here. And in this case, they've got Mandy Poole and Helen Kohlberg up in this group. Helen Thomas, Scott, and White. So good to see that Welsh flag represented as we've got the C's. Trying to get a feel for this gap, Nathan. Help me out. Is it
23 seconds. It's easily gone. Yeah, it's
there you
gone.
go. All right. Let's see how this one plays out there at 1K to go, more or less.
Yeah, just really quickly, a shout out to Hutchings and Tortuque Callis over the top of that 23rd Street over on the left side. Then it's going to be Revel there over the top, Plastic Cockneys as well. So a few points scored. They're about to do their Libby Hill sprint as well. We'll try and get a replay of that actually, because we're going to check the women's finish actually in the season. We'll get a replay of the men's A's in the West here in just a moment, because we do have a battle for the finish here with Aeonian Kohlberg. It's going to be Thomas Pooley as well as White from Revo. That's the setup here into the finish line. Look at this though, 13 seconds. They cannot sleep. They need to go pretty soon here, because look at how quickly this is coming back. 39 kilometers per hour versus 36. There's any aero power-ups that blast out of there. There could be a winning situation actually.
What a great example here of how this all works. So that front group, it gets a little any more tactical than this, and they're going to get swallowed up. Huge differential in speed between these two groups. I mean, you can feel it's like a freight train rolling down on a hand cart right now when you look at that front group. But I do think that they're going to start to pick it up, because the windup for the sprint is happening right now. So it's that ebb and the flow, but there you go. They have launched. So, okay, all systems go out of that front group, and it looks like Thomas from TFC Storm is going to take the bull by the horns as she hits that arrow power up. The gap is going to be enough. Thomas is going to be good as gold, Nathan.
Yeah, and Ski Scott trying to come across, not going to be happening though, it looks like, and it is going to be Thomas, Scott Zison, and then Kohlberg. Ooh, maybe nipped at the line there behind. It looks like solid kicks though. They're coming from the rider from Storm, TFC Storm. Amazing ride actually. They're coming from them. Let's go ahead and jump in with the men. I'll be able to get a replay though of what just happened with the men here in just a second. It was a really, really solid battle to the line. But Thomas taking it out there for TFC Storm. We'll look and see if we can grab the D category riders as well for the women in just a second. But this is the downhill and the damage that may have been done here in the West for the men. And you can see right here, Gustafsson here just done. I mean, waiting for the chase, because that's 24th place, because there's 23 up the road.
Points go 30 deep, folks, 40 for the winner. So we've talked about the bonus points that you can win, and there's quite a few of them out there now. Scoop them up off the table. You don't want to leave crumbs out there, but 40 points for the win, 35 for second, 30 for third, 27 for fourth, and then they stack up 1 point at a time, 26, 25, and so on. As we go back, take a look at Beak here, the mighty Tour 2K Callis team.
Yeah, this give me the replay. DZR does take it down. Oh, look at the chase behind. I tried to bring it back. Unable to do so. Beak takes second. It looks like it was Casket again. Getting that solid kick across. Like I said, a climber, lighter rider. Not really in it for the sprint, most likely from the Skyrocket team. But I think he is definitely in it for these KOM points there for the Casket, for the Skyrocket team, in the neon kit that they like to use out on the platform.
Colin Peck of the Plastic Cockney, certainly a rider to watch out here today.
Quick shout out, real quick. Chris and Min, I missed it, but she did just win the sprint from her. Oh, good from her group. From her group, actually. I missed it on camera, but great job to Carissa winning amongst her group there. Solid ride.
Nathan, how you do what you do is beyond my imagination of how just covering all of these events. It's awesome. It really is. I appreciate your efforts there. As we're back in now with the A's, this is going to be Tour 2K Callis rider Hutchins that we're with here. Taking a look at this group, this is about, Nathan, what I would expect the course to do to a strong field here. A group about this size, they'll begin that grind now on the way to the finish line as they're about 10K away from putting paid here. Again, this is the West. We've already seen the East. The East was won with the breakaway. I don't see that happening here, or at least not a similar style breakaway. A solo move, Nathan, with a 30-second advantage at the line. That was something else that we saw from the Belgian earlier. This looks like it's going to be a little more straight ahead to me. I'm expecting a small group sprint, as they say. How many times have you heard that, Sport of Cycling?
Yeah, I have a feeling you're right about that. I'm not sure that we're going to see a break similar to what we saw in the East. I have a feeling this will stick together a little bit more. There was a lot of aggression. There is aggression here, definitely, but not in the same kind of organized manner. I feel like where BZR kind of showed up and just continued to play their cards. I think they had a lot of different cards to play from a very broad spectrum of rider types. Two goes with the solid FTP, good 5-minute kicks. We had a lot of kicks with the sprints over the top of the KOMs, able to put some hurt on through those sections, people able to hang on and sit in the pack and allow their teammates to do the kind of work they needed. I think BZR just really showed up with a good plan on the day, which ended up getting them that solid win as well as a lot of points on the day. Now, I want to jump in with the D category for the women. We do have the herd of Dolphins. Now, this is within category limits, 2.6 watts per kilogram average, actually, from Katie Ryder, actually, for the herd of Dolphins at this point. LEG, also from the herd of Dolphins, a little ways back. So this is a breakaway situation in the D category and within category limits, which is really great to see. So nice job here for Katie Ryder.
Yeah, finding the ceiling there of effort in your category is always really, really impressive. Good job by Kay here. Dolphins are not as peaceful as one might think. They can be very, very aggressive.
Just to kind of set the scene real quick before we head back on over and just let everybody know what's happening in the D category. Give shout outs for the efforts as well. We do have Ellie Glatt here now out of Germany. She's on the chase. She's going to be taking second down, obviously, as she's going to roll to the line. The name I've got here is Fat Bird in game. And so Fat Bird for Revo, hammering away. Solid effort here coming from this rider. 162 beats per minute. It's actually a cool little cartoon bird picture as well. She's from Zwifterland. So I think there's most likely just trying to keep everything under wraps here as far as who the rider is. And of course,
I think that's Madonna. I think it's Madonna.
Respecting privacy, of course, in every way that we possibly can. Great to see levels 42 Zwifter, 50 plus age group. So Emma out here hammering, taking third place overall in the D category, getting an awesome workout and competing in the Zwift Racing League. That's always great to see.
Like so many folks during the COVID lockdown era, people have been showing some courage, trying new things. And for a lot of folks, Nathan, this was the big leap of faith, wasn't it? Getting out here and doing Zwift racing. It takes something special to be a bike racer. So good for you, for everybody who's done that. I've always said that at in real life events that this is not for ordinary average people with no heart. This is for special people. And let's take a look now. So Fat Bird has got this one. It looks like in pretty good shape, Nathan. I'm looking at the men where they are absolutely having at it right now. This is quite a throwdown that we're looking at here. Antoine Magot is so Islington Cycling Club deserves a lot of credit. They have really stepped up, ready to throw down with Callis and the Plastic Cockneys, Skyrocket Company. We got a new squad to talk about out here.
Yeah, be on the watch out for them for sure. And I mean, this is amongst the best of the best in the West, that's for sure. So I love it. The new names that are showing up, the new teams, Beast Mode as well. Bike Strong KTM now making the way to the front here. Milk now again, BRT 7.4, and he has been on it for these sprints. Here we go to the line with an Aero Power. Big risks not using that for the final. Will he get another one is the question he holds on for the sprint. Plastic Cockneys coming through for second there. Hart, solid result there. Now, is there continuance on the front? No, just some drafting power-ups and everybody calming on down. There's a split, though, there. They should go. In my opinion, they should continue on, especially with some of these riders who are not sprinters, but looks like they're going to weld it back together, as you'd say, Dave.
Oliver Milk is a rider to watch, Nathan. Just kind of getting a feel for this is some power in that package. So we're learning a lot today. I will admit this first race of the season is so much fun as we get introduced to new teams, new talent. One thing never changes is the spirit of racing is at an all-time high out here as we're down to it, folks, the business end for the Europe, Middle East, and Africa West. 32 and a half kilometers of racing. So you can see that these guys are going to run out of real estate to operate with here pretty quickly. It's certainly, look, now we do have another sprint to look forward to before the finish. And this one is going to be fantastic. Does anyone get away, Nathan? Does anybody try?
I don't think it's going to be a possibility at this point.
I don't either.
No, I mean,
I
right
wouldn't
here,
waste
this
that
would be
match.
your last chance. This would be your last chance, or a like 2K to go situation. You know, that is something.
Yeah.
That
you have a little bit of a grade to work with, as Nathan says right there, that 3%, and nobody's going to take the bait. No way. Can't say I blame him.
Yeah. So this situation here is so incredibly difficult. You'd have to have a rider who their whole plan for this race is just that. Like, that's all you were waiting for was
No, to add on to that, Nathan, so when Leonard made his breakaway work, the Belgian rider, an hour and a half ago, at this point, he had 14 seconds. Right. So it was a significant gap, and he just continued to play on the tactics happening behind him with a huge effort. And they never really organized a chase. His team, BZR, the Belgians did a really good job of swarming the front and then bogging it down. Just really well executed tactics out there. It was a clinic in how to win with the breakaway. That's a different scenario now, because if you start the move now, look at the group that's chasing, right? These are hungry wolves that are just licking their lips right now.
Just have a quick correction on something here real quickly. First across the line intermediates I am seeing on the course schedule, 23rd Street KOM. Now the riders seem to be contesting in the first couple, and so that was what caused some confusion for myself with them contesting that. I was like, maybe the course schedule was not read there. Maybe the riders were just trying to make breaks happen. But 23rd Street KOM, Broad Street Sprint ×2, Monument Avenue Sprint ×2 for first across the line. The fastest segment time is 23rd and Monument Avenue Sprint. So that's the situation out there, everybody. I appreciate Tyler King also calling us out there in chat. I really appreciate the help there on that. So watching the riders, though, contest it, I had assumed, because it looked like they were trying to go for some points there, but it looks like they were just trying to make the breaks happen, or perhaps use some motivation with the segment times there in order to make something happen across across those lines, there's also bragging rights for being the first across the line, even within the race. A lot of times people will go for it.
Yeah, motivation is an interesting thing, right? A lot of times after the race, when you talk with riders, you find out either they were incredibly well informed or they weren't informed at all. And how things play out, it's always really interesting to go back and analyze things. One thing's for sure, the run into this sprint is never going to be easy. As we take a look, you can see the arch there, but these guys have all got the overall victory in mind at this point.
Now on the front, it looks like it's going to be again Skyrocket Casket going for the sprint, 11 watts per kilogram, but Milk again. This guy
Oliver Milk.
All in here with Oliver. 9.5 and is there a dropout? No! I think he had a dropout at the last second there and he might have got nipped. Oh my goodness. Not sure if that was a dropout or if he just stopped pedaling, but that looked like a dropout to me in that moment there. Maybe he can jump in chat and let us know, but Milk here, still, I'd be watching out for him in the final sprint. He has been all over this, but I think we've got a couple of riders that have kind of been a little bit like a python, just waiting in the grass, keeping it calm, not really caring for these major sprints. Watch out for the Plastic Cockneys. Holt there also from DZR. I think there's some riders here that are not really caring about these intermediates and say, no, it's all about first across the line.
Well, that's where you love to be on a team that can designate riders and have role players, Nathan, where you have some riders that are going for these sprints versus other riders that are saving and waiting for the finale. That's the ideal situation. That's when you know that you've got a team that's really exactly that, operating at the highest level as a team, not a bunch of individuals all out there doing their best bike race and then seeing where the chips flay.
Yeah, and Bike Strong here now, we start setting up the story between all of these riders. I think Bike Strong KTM here kind of solo. Is there one rider with them? I do see a couple orange jerseys here. Moving up the left there. I'm not sure that's going to be a rider, though, that's also riding for the KTM. Maybe another team that's in here. Plastic Cockney's only with one. I think Tortuga Callis are going to be the team that's got 4 riders. Is that right? I see 4 of those blue jerseys that they're using in game here. They are using that weekend social ride. It looks like. So be on the watch out for Miller. They could send out, if somebody says, I don't got the sprint, I'm dying here a little bit, but they could send a rabbit off the front. Bike Strong says, no, I'm going to be the rabbit, and I'm the solo rider, actually. So this is interesting. I like Casket trying to shut it down.
I like where the Plastic Cockneys are at, to be honest, right now. They look like a team that has got this pretty well set up, and they come in as a team that's already proven themselves at this level.
It's a good point. They've always been very competitive also in the TTT as well on the Thursdays for WTRL. So it's a good shout out there, Dave. Be on the watch out for them. The numbers game.
Peak. The Charlies on Tour 2K Callis also. This is a strong team. Miller, Beek, Ravel. This is going to be fun to watch. All of these teams have got some resources out here. As far as tactics go, there's a lot to work with. A lot of meat on the bone here as they're down to about 1.5 K of racing remaining. Bart Sokolowski. Excuse me, Bart. I'm a fan. I'm watching for him today as well.
Watch out for Simon Knudsen there from DZR Dynamic Danes there. 14.4 watts per kilogram. That's the highest 15 seconds amongst this group right now. So DZR Knudsen, I do see him on the left-hand side. They're going to be in the red and white kick. They do have 3 riders here still involved. So a few other riders will be watching out for 13.9 there. James Jenkins, I think you were talking about Plastic Cockneys. Very well set up there, according to Zwift Power. So we've got some big kicks here. Really 12 to 14 amongst almost all of them. Tom Waitley is another rider there from Skyrock. Going to be watching out for almost 14 watts per kilogram. Really the big numbers, though, 1,177 that we've seen on a personal best there from Simon. He's a big rider there with the big watts.
This is the moment, Nathan, where everything matters. You want to be near the front, not on the front. They're going to launch, so it's going to be Hutchings who goes first. This is not bad time.
It's a rabbit. It's good. It's good because now it catches them out and someone's got to chase here, Dave.
Yeah, well, this forces the issue, doesn't it? Now, everybody now is going to have to play all of their cards, just push the chips into the middle of the table here. It's not that far away here. Hutchings with a super effort and a nice little gap. It's a couple seconds now. This is going to be brutal. They're going to hit hard. Will they get him, Nathan? It's going to be close.
Oh my goodness, this is the last 300 meters now at this point here. Hutchins now, but no, here comes the plastic Cockneys, 12 watts per kilogram. What? And now the ramp up. Where is Knudsen? There's Simon Knudsen coming on through. No, Jenkins, 13 watts per kilogram. Is he going to get the better of Simon now? It looks like Jenkins, plastic Cockneys, Knudsen trying to come through, but no, it's going to be Jenkins to the line. Tortuque settle for third and fourth. Knudsen there for second place. What a kick to the line. Plastic Cockneys, you called it right there, Dave. Solid effort. And out go the lights? Is that what we're going to
Out go the lights, as they say. Yeah, that's so well done. They didn't take the bait, did they? As they say in Star Wars, it's a trap. It's a trap. You got to know how to get your timing right with these sprints. You know that as well as anyone, Nathan. It's so easy to go early.
Yeah, we'll take a look at the replay here, and we do see a couple of people going pretty early here. We're just on rewind for just a second to try and get this in. This was the first initial kick here coming from Hutchins. They set it up, and I think Tortuque Callis were being very patient. It was a good way to go about it here. It was smart, but I think that they just got a little bit outplayed in power, just to be honest.
It's so deceptive when you look at that line because Sokolowski looked for a moment like he was in good shape, but then the reality of how strong Jenkins is and how well set up he was by his Plastic Cockneys team. They were phenomenal through season one. They don't miss a beat here on season two on a super challenging day out here on the Richmond Reverse. 2 laps all ended up with this. No doubt about it.
There it is, the cross the line, solid kick, and Plastic Cockneys with Jenkins. They make it happen. So back in with the B category. Here we go. There's a little bit of a break happening here. Skyfall. It looks like, what is this? This is a WTRL team time trial. Oh my goodness. But it's only 2 seconds, but they can make it work.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not a huge group behind them, although it looks like if a few teams want to cooperate, this is pretty much mano a mano right now. You got to love it. Skyfall's going to make a run at it. I don't think we've seen this scenario. Three riders going to take on the world. Yeah,
I mean,
just getting this organized is hard.
They've really got to go all in. I mean, look at this. Is there motivation behind? Because they can make this happen, but if the motivation dies behind right now, they can make this happen, and they've got to kind of kick on this downhill here.
Fortunately, the problem is the motivation rarely dies here. I think I love this, though. Such a unique finale, and now they're all going off on their own here. It's actually good for our 3 leaders.
That's exactly what I would do here. Bergenski from BRT, 7 watts per kilogram. It's exactly what I would go for here. Is just a kick to get across. We're losing riders here for a second. Sorry about that.
Try to get up. Use them as a stepping stone. Try to get up, get in that draft for, 300-400 meters, and then go over the top if you can. Yeah, a stepping stone would be the perfect way to put it. Not a huge group behind Nathan. This is a really complicated finale.
Look who's in this sprint. James Eastwood. Socks for Watts.
Oh, boy. Mr. Socks.
Mr. Socks
Boss
for Watts.
Socks.
This is the man himself. This is Mr. Socks for Watts. I'm loving to see James here and all the support that he's thrown out there to the world of Zwift racing and getting that all going. So great to see Socks for Watts. We'll see if he can make this happen.
He didn't
looks like they were caught.
He didn't invent the sock itself, but it's the marketing.
He's just a unicorn. He's just a unicorn.
Yeah. Branding with unicorns. All right.
Thanks to James to the whole world for making.
That's a significant guy in the course of human history. So, all right. I assume guy. It probably was a woman. All right. Dickhoff is the rider that we're with here with BRT. That's Bolt Racing. Fantastic team. Z-Sun there in the white and red. Our Skyfall friends have been brought back.
The Italian rider.
Here you go. Magnani.
McNally gives him a bit of go. It's going to be Schultz, though, on the response to BRT team out of the Netherlands. Now, will Schultz be able to come across 13 watts per kilogram coming from him? And it was way too early. McNally's going to get caught pretty easily. I think Schultz has got the gap here. Is he going to make it happen? To the line, Jerry Schultz riding in for the BRT team. It's a 1 second gap at this point. They're coming on like a freight train. He's got to hold on to the line, and he's going to do it. Stafford's going to be the next, right to the line between him and Bark from Innovation. That was so close. I want to look at that replay, actually, because that was right to the line between those riders.
I think this was one of the best days we've ever had with the Zwift Racing League. What a start here. Love this course, Richmond Reverse. I wouldn't want to race this one every week, but bring this one out for special occasions. It brings out the best in all of our categories.
Interesting to see here. I want to know how this ended up playing out between those minor placings. Schultz, Stafford, right. Oh my goodness. We have to wait on back end API there between that second and third, because Bark and Stafford they were as close as it gets. That was right there. We're going to jump in with Caldwell here. Joe Caldwell, Thomas Reinke. These are familiar names. James Loris, David Hill, all at the front end of the C category. As soon as we possibly can, we'll get in there with them as they are finishing up their race, most likely coming to the line in just a moment here, as they are just did their monument sprint, it looks like here. And this is going to be a little bit of a break off the front, actually, with the C category.
All right. A couple experienced riders on Tron bikes, as well as Cadwallader and Reineke.
Riding for
Do I have
glory.
That right?
Riding for glory.
Yeah,
Thomas Reinke. Yep. And then his racing team, as we're seeing for Joe Caldwell. And then it's going to be David Hill for the TFC team, James Lawrence for the Rhinos, Alex Malzer there for the Sox for Watts team, a little ways back. They're on the chase, it looks like. So Jay Lawrence
really blown
for the
up.
Rhinos. I mean, this is completely blown. It looks like it's these two that have done all the work to try and make this happen. And this is, look at how tactical this is right now. They are really watching each other. 1.8, 1.7. This is almost like a track race.
Like, it's always concerning to me when I could keep up. You know what I'm saying? That lets me know that it's gotten extremely tactical. These two looking at each other. It's going to be a two-rider sprint, no doubt about it, as they're about 2.5K from the line right now with a 16-second advantage. But obviously, these guys, they're not slowing, riding at this tempo because they're struggling. Nobody really wants to overcook it right now, as you want your sprint to be al dente, to the tooth. You got to have some crunch, and these guys both, I think, are winding it up. You got to look at the numbers. They're pretty much in the same place out here right now. Heart rate's pretty similar. All in all, Nathan, they're pretty similar riders, to tell you the truth. It's a little more wattage. The German, Reineke, can squeeze out of those legs, but not
They're messing
enough.
around. They're messing around, and D Hill is like, thanks a lot, boys. TFC
I was saying that they wouldn't get caught. Yeah, well, I guess this is why now they're going to start picking it up. There you go. It looks like Joe is going to go ahead and start to ramp it up. So, yeah, I mean, it looks like they're sprinting to the finish, but they're really sprinting from the chase, aren't they? Or this is an attack out of that small group. As Reineke now, he's behind the 8-ball. As Cadwallader putting on the pressure. This is a two-man battle with Hill looking to make it a third-man battle. You get two dogs fighting for a bone. A third one will happily come and take it.
And it looks like Joe here, 5.4 watts per kilogram. He has done it. He has cracked Reineke. But Reineke now getting into a consistent
He's coming back.
now,
He's
though.
coming back. Yeah.
I saw him go to zero for just a moment, but 2 seconds. It's all about suffering to the line. This is a race of attrition now. That's what this is.
Yeah, maybe this is an exercise contest now at this point, because it's like raw watts. Turn yourself into a wattage cottage. That's Joe Cadwallader here on the front. So I would obviously in the advantageous position of being on the front. Reineke, here, trying to close it down, and he's coming. He's coming like a runaway freight train here. So maybe Reineke times it right.
But
Oh,
cyclocross moves not going to help him out there. What was that? Trying to freak him out here. Where did he get the special power-up button? The swerve power-up has been added to the game. Just kidding, everybody. Something happened.
Paperboy on him. Yeah, oh, boy. So Reineke, now Cadwalder's not out of this, though. He's got to be infuriated with whatever happened there. It's now he's going to redouble his effort. It's body blow after body blow between these two. So Cadwalder starts it. Reineke tries to finish it, but it's not over. Finish line is still at over 500 meters away. So Cadwalder is going to need to go absolutely nuclear powered here to make the catch, though, of the German Reineke here.
Looks like it's done. Reineke has made it happen now. 3 seconds. The super paperboy move did not work out for Cadwalder. No! What? We've got thing after thing happening. No. Oh, no. Cadwalder, can he make it happen? Both of these guys need to plug their trainers in.
Get him.
4 seconds. I don't know. It's a huge gap. If he would have continued on, never stop pedaling. That is a lesson right there, because if he would have kept going, he would have caught him. Reineke now able to put his hands up. Is he going to just stop? Is he like trolling Cadwalder?
Yeah.
Like, what is happening here? They're like messing with each other at this point. Oh man, good racing. Hill's going to be the next to cross the line. That was the situation here. As McDonald and the rest, it's going to jump around a little bit, Sonos, because of who we have selected in the background.
Hey, that was fun. That was
a lot of fun. That was a ton of fun here. BJ Alfonso is who we're going to jump in with now. This is one of the most, if there's anybody that knows a name, Alfonso, definitely somebody watching. But Torres is out here as well. We'll see if we can jump in with them. Sorry, guys. We're trying to jump around a little bit here as quickly as we possibly can in the D category for a couple of riders. I believe Alfonso is toward the front end of this race. I do see him at a gap, actually, averaging 2.4 watts per kilogram in first place with like a 10-second gap. Alfonso and Torres. Yep, there they are. Here we go. 2 gas riders, 2 of them off the front, both of them within category limits, so they're killing it. And they got a 48-second gap.
Yep, Portuguese powerhouses here. BJ has done a really good job. Talk about a positive person. Tons of energy. Absolutely loves the sport. Torres, the bull, for 2 guys here. All right. Looks like BJ's up and out of the saddle.
Attacking his teammate.
Yeah.
Giving his TV
Old
time.
school fury.
All about the TV time. Loving it. Loving it. Of course, Dave. It's great.
He's taking some advice from Anna Russell, our colleague, going with the headband, which is the new trend. They're tracking this. The headbands are showing up everywhere.
Yeah, that's actually a really great point. I think that's exactly what's going on here. Torres is like, dude,
Anna,
are you kidding me? Like, what are you doing to me here? Like, attacking your teammate. Maybe just for the fastest sprint time across there, perhaps. Not sure. That might have been what that's all about there as they round out this final little kick. And it looks like that's what's happening. He's backing off, and I think he was going for the segment. That may have been fastest segment time go, perhaps. Let's take a quick look here. I can actually bring
Let's go with that. I think I'm going to sign off on that for now.
Not sure that
because it looks like he's waiting here now. I don't think he's trying to hold off his teammate. Either way, they're going to get
those are going to be all A times anyways, though. So those will all be A times, so we won't be able to see.
Well, it's been a really fun day, and we are just into the middle part of it as we start everything off in the APAC, which is our Asia Pacific. That's our friends, obviously, Australia, New Zealand as well. Moving into the Europe, Middle East, and Africa, we've had our men out east, the women race. That was really exciting. Way to go, Olivia Berry. And now here we are wrapping things up for the Ds in the Europe, Middle East, and Africa West. A lot of acronyms.
Yeah, and and then later today, we are still going to have the Americas East and the Americas West. I'll be on with Dave later today for the Americas East, and then it's going to be Kate Bates back on with Dave for the West to round out the rest of our Tuesday here. We'll be here every Tuesday for 8 weeks for all of this.
I wanted to shout out the great job, Nathan, that you and the ladies did with Tour Boudica. this weekend. That was really fun to watch. Some cool elements added there. You've got a tremendous team. I really enjoyed that racing. Good job to all the Aeonian ladies who put that together as well.
Yeah, and Anna actually did a great little write up over on Zwift Insider. Anna's also
Oh,
on her
cool.
YouTube channel starting to do some cool little vodcasts on how races are won and tactics, actually. So make sure to check those out. She's doing a great job looking back at some of the racing that's been happening at the high end of Zwift racing. Very cool to see.
Wouldn't you call Anna an overachiever?
Oh, 100%. 100%. She
Yeah,
just
she's
loves Zwift
amazing.
racing, though.
Yeah,
She's
and
just,
smart and just a gracious personality. She's got it going on. Very impressive person. I'm lucky to get to work with Kate too. That's always enjoyable as we bring. So the Portuguese men are coming home.
I don't know if they're going to keep on attacking each other. Between Torres and Afonso. I'm gonna have to give it to
Sounds like
BJ maybe
F1
for the
drivers.
kick to the
That's it.
line.
That really does sound like two F1 drivers. As a matter of
It
fact, that
does.
might be the names of two F1 drivers. This is the Formula One of esports. That's for sure. We have a lot of fun out here.
It does look
BJ,
like we
a
have a couple of
community leader.
team going on here with the Netherlands. The orange jerseys, as you can see, representing their country.
Dutch.
So Team NL. They're going to battle it out with Wallace, it looks like, in TFC. Maybe an unattached rider here with Fitzpatrick, or at least as far as the kit and game goes. But obviously, could be riding for a team in the league. Who is Fitzpatrick riding for? Iman Fitzpatrick. Maybe a newer rider, actually. Looking at the kit and the game, he's a level 11.
Wow.
Of Ireland. So very new to the world of Zwift
Welcome
racing.
to Zwift.
Yeah, WTRL Team Time Trial Zone 7. That's probably how he got involved back on December 3rd, from what I can tell. He did TDZ Stage 2 group ride on the 10th, a couple days back. So that's the only Zwift Power stuff I'm seeing here. So very new to the world of Zwift. And Iman here now. This is probably like one of his 10th rides on Zwift, and he's on broadcast. Like, what? All right, let's go. I'm on TV. Here we go. Iman.
What is going on? This is bizarre. I'm on TV.
I love it.
Holy cow.
That's the beauty. That's the beauty of Zwift.
This escalated quickly, as they say.
Right hand turn, 1K to go in just a moment here. Torres and Afonso, the two guys, 1-2. What's going to happen? Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Place your bets over there in the chat between the two guys, boys. Is it going to be the long-time community leader, as Dave said, from PTZ 2 guys, Afonso? And you know what's funny is way back, I'm talking the first KISS racing, like before it was even called KISS, when it was just the
we're talking 2016,
2015 even.
Ago.
I'm talking 2015
okay.
Even, like with Afonso. I haven't said that name in a sprint in a while, but it was said many of times way back in the day when it was the ZTR early bird races, or the UK races. That's what it was. The Zwift training races is what they were prior to being KISS races, actually. And Afonso was one of the first riders in amongst that, actually. So good to see him still hammering away.
That's awesome.
We're looking at like 6 years later almost at this point.
It's one of these things that you realize when you become a part of this community, how there are quite a few folks that have been doing this for a long time and have stuck with Zwift as well. But I mean, the other day, I think peak Zwift now is at something like 43,000 folks at any given moment out there.
Just need 10,000 more people. Let's go. I got to win that Zwift Cast bet. Let's go.
How long do you have this rest of this
tonight,
year?
actually. Yeah.
How long
peak Zwift. So peak Zwift, I think it's through January, is kind of like an unofficial, completely subjective rule that Simon sets up, essentially.
Okay.
But we have no agreement when it goes out through or anything. And I'm like, so of course I'm going to win if it goes peak in March. So that's, anyways. But exactly. BJ now on the kick, 6.8 watts per kilogram. Here we go, though. BJ going to take down Torres, it looks like. He's got the kick as he takes down his teammate.
Well, they're going to love the day as they're going to gobble up a whole bunch of points as this one is done and dusted. And the real gift in the last minute was you reminded me that I've got a Zwift cast waiting for me in my queue. Looking forward to listening to the GP Llama, Nathan, and Simon on
A long Tuesday. It's a really long Tuesday today.
I love that
we're going to
show.
do all of this,
Love
and then it's going to be a 2 a.m. record, I think, again. But it'll be good and fun. We're going to have a lot of fun doing it. Jimbo across the line, Dunker, and then it's going to be Hard Nut. There, Wallace riding for Hard Nut across the line. So that is the situation here, everybody. I am going to point everyone over to WTRL.racing for the results, because we essentially have a lot of results we would have to go through, and it was back to back to back to back to back there. So I'm going to point everybody on over to WTRL.racing for the results for each and every one. Well, let me see here if I can bring them in. The only thing is I just got to make sure that we can. You can head on over there if you want to check them out. We're going to at least be able to get the East and the West here, I think, actually. Let's go ahead and do that here, Dave. I'm going to throw it to you for first the men's in the East, but also you can check all these out over on WTRL.racing. Here we go, though. For
all right.
men's. There we go.
Well, we talked a lot about this breakaway ride being successful. Way to go, Leonard Tugels, taking the win over their second-place finisher, Jeppe Falk, out of Denmark. Matthias Drus is another Belgian in our top three, but the Belgians were all over it today. Rodolfo Gil Gervasio will be the Mexican rider in fourth, Matthew Ellis in fifth, Roy Ernst sixth, Lucas Bayam in seventh, Per Jonny Doving in eighth, Jake Saunders in ninth, and Thomas Malone in 10th. That is your Division 1A men out of the East.
In the B's, Eric Hellstrom coming on through with a 44-42. Klaus Overgaard there, followed up by Nicholas Rosalind. Then it's going to be Marvin van der Selm in fourth place. John R. Uppard with a solid ride out of Norway in fifth place. Hakan Adnarsson, Gil Bogarts, and then Alex Clare, Joachim Sorgen, and then Martin Vissing there in 10th place in the B category for EMEA East Division 1B.
Let's take a look at the C's here with Arbab, the junior rider there. Massive watts per kilo taking the win. Joe Van Gossum in second. Fabian Schneemann in third. Matthias Bain in fourth. Benedict Reifer in fifth. Johan Herweg in sixth. Michael Roth in seventh. Jeffrey Rick in eighth. David Thomas Sarek in ninth. And Paul Kane rounding out our top 10. That's the C's out of the East.
And in the D category, we saw Fred Eric White take it down with that was a pretty awesome race, actually, there to the line there. 2.5 watts per kilometer average there, followed by Magnus Van Schenk. And then it's going to be Emil Seversten, followed up by Vidas 7979, Gear of Burval, followed up by Carl Van Edelbaum. And then Frank Schemming, Samuel Varlet, Tim Quinlan, and then Callum Reggie there all across the line. That's your top 10 in the EMEA East 1 Division 1D. And then for the women, Pizza Power at the top.
There you go, Olivia. Congratulations to the Canadian Olivia Berry taking the win. Tammy Miller for second. Louise Gamst in third. That's your podium with Rachel Elliott, the legend, in fourth. Sarah Carolus in fifth. Luke Kelly sixth. Kristen Yak seventh. Leah Thorbalson in eighth. Melissa Denman, Allie Cameron round out our top 10. So that's going to be the Europe, Middle East, and Africa Women's Division 1A. How about the B's?
In the B category, McKinney, that was such a well-timed sprint there from Michelle McKinney. She played it perfectly, sitting on the wheels until the last moment to go, and then walked away with it. Able to catch Lucy Driver at the line, who gave that early kick. Demi Sanders rounded out the top three. Sarah Mack there for fourth. Julia Hargreaves for fifth for Cryogen. Rachel Majors there in sixth of the US of A. Carries Coleman, they're coming out of New Zealand, in seventh. Very early morning if she is in her home country racing. Rosie Cox there eighth, and then it's going to be Juliet Elliott there in ninth, and Melaine Hansen there. Round out your top 10 in the B's for the EMEA West Division 1B's women.
First race of season 2 sees Helen Thomas taking the win in the C's. It was C. Scott in second out of Scotland. Helen Kohlberg in third. Mandy Poole for fourth. Claire White fifth. Jay Gravel in sixth. Kelsey Trinell in seventh. Hilda Asperheim in eighth. Layla Overmo ninth. And then Anne-Marie Fontaine in 10th for our seed for the women out of the East. Out of Europe, Middle East, and Africa.
And then in the D category, Katie Ryder walking away with that one. It was a solid result for her breakaway solo. Ellie G, both of those riders riding for Herd, I believe it was. Ellie G there coming in for second. Fat Bird there for Revo. Michelle East, BRT there in fourth. Jess Nudzing for RCC, coming out of Wales there for fifth. It's be Jackie Musgrove, Revo for sixth. Jess Verstegen there in seventh. Alec Sandra Luca there in eighth, and then Laura Francis in ninth. Vicky Holman rounding out your top 10 in the D's. And then last but definitely not least, what we just watched in the men's for the EMEA West Division 1A.
It's such great racing all day, and this was a solid example as James Jenkins taking the win in our the West. Now we're moving to for Europe, Middle East, and Africa. The A's. Simon Knudsen in second. Ben Miller third. Charlie Ravel in fourth. Mark Richards will be fifth today. David Felivacqua in sixth. Dean Hart seventh. Nick Hart in eighth. Antoine Magout in ninth. And Tom Watley will take 10th in the A's for the men. Throw it to you for the B's, Nathan.
In the B category, Jerry Schultz found himself in first place with a solid kick to the line. It was James Bark there just getting Daniel Stafford. That was the innovation rider who barked his way to the line. It looks like there. Clayton Payne there for fourth there. They're followed up in fifth by Jacques Lecoq. Morton Valgren in sixth. Michael Cox in seventh. Tom Light in eighth. Stuart Hardy for the BRT. And then the Sock Swats man himself being a unicorn in 10th. Nice job to all of those in the B's.
For our C's, it was Thomas Reinecke. Boy, we enjoyed watching this mano-a-mano battle as Reinecke gets the better of Joe Cadwallader in an interesting two-up sprint. David Hill in third. Chisholm McDonald in fourth. James Lawrence will be fifth today. Alex Maltzer in sixth. Steve T. seventh. David Robotham in eighth. Gus Roberts in ninth. And David Doombos in 10th. That's the C's out of Europe, Middle East, and Africa West.
And the final race that we watched on the day was one of the oldest of the school list in the world of Zwift. It's going to be BJ Alfonso. And he was able to outsprint his teammate Miguel Torres. They were on a two-up time trial, it looked like, for most of the race. Eamon Fitzpatrick, level 11 Zwifter. Good to see him out there, only 22 seconds back. We've got kind of the juxtaposition. Level 11, brand new last couple of weeks, and BJ Alfonso, who is a beta tester, in the same leaderboard. Loving to see that. Jimbo Vinny there for fourth place, it looks like. Ralph Duckner out of the Netherlands in fifth. Chris Wallace for sixth. Misha Schmidt there in seventh. Adam let me try that one again. Antoskew for eighth. Emily McDonald there in ninth. And then it's going to be Ben Lister rounding out your top 10. So that is going to be it for our broadcast here for the Europe, Middle East, and Africa Division 1 for all of the categories for West, East, and Women's. We appreciate everybody who's been tuning in here, Dave. We've been live on Twitch, YouTube. I almost said Mixer. Mixer's no longer on. Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, as well as Twitter. Make sure to hit those follow, subscribe buttons, turn on your notifications because we are live every Tuesday, all day long, all the time zones, as well as lots of other community racing, as well as the WTRL TTT on Thursdays. So if you want notifications whenever we go live or whenever we schedule a broadcast, you go ahead and turn on those little bells, and it helps you know whenever that is happening. We're going to be back in just a couple of hours. It's been a long broadcast here, Dave. We're going to take a little bit of a break, and we'll be back for America's East in just a little bit. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Great job to all the racers, as always, and we'll see you in just a couple of hours. See you soon, guys. Right on.